When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports.
Namath backpedaling, looks, throws to the sideline. Namath on a handoff to Matt Snell. Snell at the 5, Snell at the 3, Snell touchdown!
The ball game is over, and the Jets are champions of the football world.
But little did I know that I'd be coaching a great football team here, coming home to a welcome like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor on behalf of the greatest city in the world to pay tribute to the greatest football team in the world, the New York Jets.
Championship memories still burn, but provide little warmth for the generation of Jets fans now celebrating this long-awaited moment.
Touchdown, New York Jets!
The Super Bowl finally within reach. It can almost be seen, touched.
Here's the way it is. You win, you advance. You win, you advance.
Looking long down the field for Jimmy Smith, who's got separation, and he makes the catch. Touchdown!
For some, ancient history is just that, history. The Jaguars practice today's modern math. The equation is cruel in its simplicity. Win and you advance. Lose and you go home.
Hi, everybody. Jim Nance. This is the day we narrow the playoff field to the Final Four as we welcome you to the NFL Today presented by Southwest Airlines. We're going to take you right up to kickoff time for the Jags and the Jets. And by the way, CBS and Sony are also presenting this AFC Divisional Playoff contest in the new HD TV format. I'm pleased to saddle up once again with the four horsemen of the postseason. Craig James, Brent Jones, Marcus Allen, and Michael Lombardi. And Brent, there is a big playoff atmosphere all around New York right now.
Jim, playoff pressure is real. I can feel it right here on the desk. These guys are a little nervous, but you're seeing guys drop passes in games, not get out of bounds, not call timeouts, and it builds every week into a big crescendo for the Super Bowl.
Crescendo.
Could you go with that?
Could you spell crescendo?
All right, I went to Santa Clara, not SMU.
You could not spell crescendo. We put you up tonight. The Jets atmosphere, Jets. It's a great environment, a great atmosphere. Tough place for Jacksonville to play. Tough place for them to win. But wasn't it 2 years ago that Jacksonville went out to a place called Denver and beat the Broncos?
That's right. 34 players for the Jets have no playoff experience. Parcells going to have to do a great job of calming those guys down today. The anxiety is going to be really high, guys.
Hey, you make a good point here. This is a team, the Jags, have won 2 playoff games on the road in cold, hostile environments. They'll face one again today. Now, yesterday, the Broncos let it be known that they are ready, willing, and more than able to defend their Super Bowl crown. Thunder had quite a workout. They dominated the Dolphins 38-3, and what a performance again by Terrell Davis. Check out the spin move on his way to 199 yards and 2 touchdowns. And how about John Elway? I think we heard yesterday that his legs were shot, Craig James. Not his arm.
Of course. Anytime you need somebody to motivate a player, just ask me. Snowballs at Craig James next week.
And so the road to Super Bowl 33 will pass through Mile High Stadium next Sunday, and our CBS Sports coverage of the AFC Championship will begin at 3:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. Now, will the Broncos host the Jags or the Jets? That will be answered shortly at the Meadowlands, which is our next stop as the NFL Today goes on site for the Jets' first home playoff game since 1986. Vern Lundquist and Randy Cross will have the call today, and they are there now live. Gentlemen.
All right, Jim, thank you. The game time forecast was for sunny skies, temperature in the mid-20s, and gusting winds. Well, we've got half of that. We've got the sunny skies. Thus far, the winds have been benign, but they are expected to pick up as the afternoon goes on. If they get into that 20-25 mile an hour category, Randy, the running game becomes all important.
And all week long, all I've heard in New York is Curtis Martin's got to be the guy. He's got to be the big guy for us. Well, Curtis Martin made some comments this week about, I'm going to have a big game and I'm going to get 100 yards. The Jaguars defense is not nuts about that. They want to do something about that. Now, for the Jets on the defensive side, though, the guy that I think is the assistant coach of the year in the NFL, easily, Bill Belichick and that defense do all kinds of great things. They've got fantastic numbers. But today, watch their substitutions and watch their packages on third down. Third down, mentally, a quarterback's got to be very sharp against that defense.
It seems for the last week or so, if you mention Jacksonville, you must mention high ankle sprain as well.
Along with the name Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell, about a month ago, had the high ankle sprain, and his mobility has been limited. But even not being mobile, this is something he does better than any quarterback, I think, in the playoffs still, and that's drop the long ones into guys like Jimmy Smith. But for the Jaguars to have a chance, it's got to be Fred Taylor Day. He hasn't run on turf much. He's from Florida. He doesn't like the cold. How's he look from here, folks? This kid can run.
I think he looks awfully good. Tom Coughlin was an early arrival, and he chatted with our Michelle Tafoya.
Coach, you coached with the Giants under Bill Parcells in this stadium, in these conditions. What will it take for your Jaguars to beat the Jets in this environment?
Well, first of all, we've got to concentrate and focus so much on winning the game that whatever the environment, whatever the wind, whatever the cold, we just play our way through it. We've been in cold weather cities and games at this time of the year before and played very well, and I hope we're able to do that today.
Coach, thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Back up to you, Vern.
All right, Michelle, one late injury note for the Jaguars. Tony Brackens will be inactive today, not able to play. The Jets are ready, so are the Jaguars. Right now, let's go back across the river to Jim Nance.
All right, thank you, Vern. And that's a big note, by the way. Brackens was listed as probable all week, and now he's deactivated for the game. What does that mean?
Hey, this is a big inactivation for these guys because he's a good run stopper out there. Curtis Martin, Randy talked about it. Cross is all over this one here. Curtis Martin will have a big day. Look what the Dolphins did trying to stop Terrell Davis. They couldn't do it. They didn't have defensive linemen. They were out. You've got to control the line of scrimmage. Therefore, the Jaguars on defense have got to mix things up in this ball game. They've got to have a lot of variety out there and can try to confuse the Jets blockers.
You know, the Jets got to put some pressure on Mark Brunell, Leon Searcy, Tony Baselli, two of the best tackles in the game. The Jets are going to have to attack the interior of the Jacksonville line, run some stunts, run some blitzes. You can't let Brunell stand back there, Marcus, and have time to make some plays today.
I think Brunell's going to have a tough day today, Brent. I had a high ankle sprain. Mine bothered me for about 6 to 8 weeks. I was able to run on grass, but not on turf. Now, the turf's going to be hard out there and cold. I tell you what, one big hit, and he could be out the game, guys.
You know, you're right, Marcus, but I talked to the people in Jacksonville. Mark Brunell had his best week of practice this week, but the key to me is Bill Parcells. He's a different coach when he gets in the playoffs. Everybody knows he's a great coach. He's 10-6 in playoff games, 6-1 at home, and he always does something different in the playoffs. Watch him in the special teams today. Fake field goal, fake punt. He's exceptional. He manages the game better than anybody.
All right, guys, over in the NFC, the changing of the guard continues with Atlanta advancing to its first ever NFC Championship game, beating San Francisco yesterday. Dan Reeves on the sideline cheering. Jamal Anderson carried again the bulk of the work and 2 touchdowns. The second one, though, from 34 yards out. Just magnificent here, Craig.
Hey, this big boy here, he brings those shoulder pads to the game. Nobody wants to tackle him low. I haven't seen somebody hit him in the thighs the entire season because they know if they put that helmet on the thighs, they're probably going to the sideline.
All right, so depending on today's Arizona-Minnesota NFC Divisional Playoff game, either the Falcons will travel to the Twin Cities next Sunday or Atlanta will host the wild card Cardinals there. Brent?
Jim, you talk about changing of the guard. There was a day when you had to run through Green Bay, the 49ers, Dallas to get to the Super Bowl. You won't hear it out of Minnesota, but these guys got to be a little excited about having to beat Arizona and Atlanta to get to the promised land.
That's exactly why Atlanta has a chance. Nobody has given them a chance in this ball game. Ask your 49ers.
You like the Falcons. I'm sticking with the Vikings.
Don't hurt him like that.
A reminder for our viewers to go online. You can get the inside scoop on the playoffs at cbs.sportsline.com, or for America Online subscribers, go to the keyword CBS Sportsline. Up next, Bonnie Bernstein joins us live from the Metrodome with the latest on today's Cardinals-Vikings playoff matchup. Plus, here's what else is ahead on the NFL Today.
He's the big play receiver who's not afraid to catch some flack.
Out of the 31 teams in this league, I don't think there's not one that wouldn't want me on it.
And we'll get the inside story on today's matchups from a man who's not afraid to speak his mind, Steelers head coach Bill Cowher. NFL Today is presented by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Welcome back to the NFL Today. Now, later this afternoon, the Minnesota Vikings, the highest scoring team in the National Football League history, will host the Arizona Cardinals, who won 7 games by 3 points or less this season. That's an NFL record. Bonnie Bernstein is at the Metrodome with more. Bonnie, let's go there live.
Hey there, Jim. On paper, it looks like Arizona's going to have a long day ahead of them. They're a 2-touchdown underdog going against a 15-1 Vikings team who's got 9 Pro Bowlers, and oh, by the way, they haven't lost at home. Obviously, number one key for Arizona is to stop the towering receiving trio of Jake Reed, Randy Moss, and Chris Carter. Reed is coming off November back surgery, and Denny Green was telling us in practice this week during their toughest drill, the 2-minute, Reed was able to cut on a dime, so that's good news. Randy Moss, the rookie sensation, stirring up the pot a little bit this week. He called Arizona's secondary, with the exception of Aeneas Williams, average.
We're not about words. We're just about coming out and playing. And, you know, if we just come out and play and don't say anything and they beat us fair and square, then more power to them. If they're going to want to talk and say things and set themselves up, you know, they kind of set themselves up for failure when you open your mouth like that.
Williams on Moss is going to be a great matchup. Moss is 6'4", he's lanky, he's got great hands, great speed, but Williams is a stickler for film work, a perennial Pro Bowler, and unquestionably one of the best cover corners in the league. Now, Arizona's defense overall played phenomenally in last week's upset of Dallas. Still, they have yet to face an offensive line as formidable as Minnesota's.
First, we have to stop the run. Then we have to get after Randall, and the rest of it will take care of itself, because once you can rattle the trigger man of any team, then they're not as good as they seem to be.
Our style of play has been very consistent. We played consistently once we won the Central Division. We played consistently once we wrapped up home field advantage. We play with the same style. The style that you see, aggressive approach, offensive and defense, is our style of play. That's when we really like playing, and we enjoy every second of it.
Now, Arizona absolutely cannot fall behind early, because then they're going to have to abandon their running game. So they're going to have to play catch-up, and that's going to give the Vikings the Vikings offense more time on the field. Jake Plummer may be a little inexperienced, but he's got that escapability going for him. And if the snake can kind of slither away from John Randall today, he's got a good receiving tandem, and Frank Sanders and Rob Moore to go to. Sanders this year led the NFC in catches. Bottom line is, though, Arizona has to run the ball. Adrian Morrell and Larry Sanders really need to step up today, go against the Vikings defense up the gut, because remember, guys, the Vikings, only time they lost this year was to Tampa Bay on a day, Jim, that both Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott rushed for more than 100 yards.
All right, Bonnie, and that was on the road. They were perfect at home and, in fact, won by an average of 35-12, the Vikings this year. Now, it was Brent's turn to stay up all night and compile today's IBM Power Poll, and here are Brent's keys to this game between the Vikings and the Cardinals. Take it away, Brent.
Oh, Jim, we are ready to go. Miller and Simeon Rice got to get big pressure on Randall Cunningham. Get Jake Plummer out of the pocket. That's when he makes those big plays downfield. Find John Randall. He can disrupt any offense. Frank Sanders and Rob Moore got to have a big day receiving, and the secondary's got to hold, disrupt, and be physical. Now for the Vikings, don't oversleep. Very big key. Light pregame meal. They got to stay hungry coming into the game. Drive safely to the stadium. It's been cold out there. It's icy. Don't tape your ankles too tight. That one always hurt Marcus. And the thing that ended Craig James' career, no turf burns and warm-ups.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Hey, as you guys can see, I think the Cardinals had a great year, but the Vikings just have a little too much for them.
And I'm representing the people of Arizona, and they gave me a fresh roll of toilet paper, because they said by the time they kick your butt, you're going to need a lot of toilet paper. But I'll say this, though, about Arizona. We talked to Dave McGinnis, the defensive coordinator. He said he's got to mix it up. He can't just sit out there and play vanilla. He's got to go at it. They got to play it one play at a time and got to make the plays when the ball's up in the air.
Well, I talked to Randall Cunningham, and he said they have to spread the ball around. The focus is going to be on Moss and Carter. They're going to have to get the ball to Jake Reed early and often. They're going to do that. He's 100%, and he's playing well so far in practice, guys.
You know, Marcus, I'll tell you, Bonnie talked about the running game. For Arizona, I don't know how they're going to run the ball. With the crowd noise, it's the hardest thing to do in the NFL is run the ball on the road, and they're not going to be able to do it. Minnesota's defensive front will control the line of scrimmage and make it too hard.
All right, coming up, our Mr. Sherman, Craig James, covers best wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson one-on-one when the NFL Today continues on CBS.
The NFL Today is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. And by IBM. Are you ready for e-business?
It's in the toothpaste aisle.
New Arm & Hammer dental care gum with...
Welcome back to the NFL Today. And Craig, you had some time this week with the Jets out at their compound, the meeting of a couple of all-world talkers, you and Keyshawn Johnson, huh?
He whipped me in that category. Hey, this guy's bold and brash, but he's also on his way to the Pro Bowl, maybe even the Super Bowl. If you didn't believe in Keyshawn Johnson's potential before, you probably should now.
Who dares to believe in me? I believe in me.
His name is Keyshawn.
Who dares to believe in me?
Keyshawn Johnson.
I believe in me.
Give him the ball.
Who dares to believe in me?
Don't deny him.
I believe in me.
Give it to him.
Who dares to believe in me?
Keyshawn.
I believe in me.
Just give him the damn ball.
He worked the end around at Keyshawn Johnson. He's going to go. Touchdown.
Smooth.
You look forward to maybe a day in your career that the book and all of the flamboyancy and all that stuff is gone, and you're just Keyshawn, the Pro Bowl, future Hall of Fame wide receiver?
No, because it wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be real. It would be totally fictitious and fake, and I wouldn't want that. I want exactly what you get is what you see. Out of the 30, 31 teams in this league, I don't think there's not one that wouldn't want me on it.
But the Jets grabbed him first, making Keyshawn the top draft pick in '96. He set team rookie receiving records for yards and touchdowns, but didn't earn league-wide respect until this year.
What happens is you start to win, and when you start to win, you're going to get recognized from all sorts of angles. That didn't happen my rookie year. I don't know what the heck was going on, so.
Oh, you son of a...
So, enter Bill Parcells.
That's a throw to somebody that can catch.
And the tuna regime has made all the difference for Keyshawn.
They've come in here and they said, this is what he does best. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get him the football because he can create things and he can make things happen for us from an offensive standpoint, and hopefully he'll make the players around him that much better.
No one has benefited more from the respect given Keyshawn than teammate Wayne Corbett. They complement each other on the field. Off it, they're anything but complimentary.
And then the book came out, and then people said, you know, this is driving a wedge between this and that. You guys hate each other. I said, you know, I don't think we liked each other from the start. As long as we didn't carry that on the field, you know, it doesn't make a difference.
The receiving tandem is the most productive in the league. And while Keyshawn's call for the ball appears selfish, the man does know something about giving back.
You obviously haven't forgotten where you came from. Charity is a big part of your life.
Yeah, I think that that's important. You know, everyone wants to say, well, you're just role models, you have to do this. No, we don't have to do anything we don't want to do, as we know. But at the same time, you know, there's people that will never see the amount of money that you make in a week. They'll never see over a lifetime. So why not just, you know, give back from the heart, not because everyone expects you to do it.
One thing about Keyshawn is, and Corbett, these guys, when they leave the parking lot, they don't socialize, but they don't need to. They're competitors. They go on the football field and they play football, and they realize as long as they don't let that distract from their performance, they're okay. Keyshawn also understands that you've got to have a 1-2 punch to be successful in the NFL. There's not very many receivers out there with a #1 without #2 who are going to the Pro Bowl.
Just like that 1-2 punch at SMU, you and Eric, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you had? Hey, Wayne Corbett is outstanding. He's got great quickness. Today against Jacksonville, he's going to line up in the slot. They'll really give the Jacksonville corners a lot of trouble. They don't have the lateral quickness to handle him. I expect him to have a big day today.
All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to go inside the playoffs with the man who led his team into the postseason for 6 straight years. Steelers head coach Bill Cowher next. And his Jets facing Tom Coughlin and the Jags. The two head coaches close friends going back to Coughlin's days as an assistant to Parcells with the Giants from '88 to '90. In fact, together they won a Super Bowl, but friendships only go so far. Welcome back to the NFL Today. And once again, we are delighted to be joined by Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Bill Cowher for our RCA Inside the Playoffs breakdown of the Jags-Jets matchup. Looking forward to watching the game with you today, Coach.
I enjoy it there, Jim. I'll tell you what, being around all these ex-players over there, it's obvious the guy who's been in the playoffs the least. I mean, you look at Craig James, toilet paper. I mean, come on now. I mean, it's really getting out of hand here, but it is good to be back in this atmosphere.
I know he's looking forward to being with you at halftime, all right, for the final word on that one. Let's break down the game today, beginning with Jacksonville. The keys for the Jags today. What must they do?
Well, I think Jacksonville coming up into New York, going on the road, #1 key, I think, is for Brunell to stay in the game. He's got to finish the game. I mean, you're looking at them going against a New York blitz package that can get him on the ground. The high ankle sprain that was alluded to earlier by Marcus, it's going to be important he finishes the game. Jonathan Quinn, a rookie backup, doesn't have a chance. You have to come into that atmosphere.
All right, and that's a good point, too. Playing on a hard, cold surface like that's not easy on that ankle sprain either.
Yeah, I think that'll be a factor, and I think if he can get through and stay in the game, then they got a chance.
All right, what else for the Jags?
I think number 2 is taking away Curtis Martin. You're looking at the conditions maybe being windy. I think it's very important you don't allow this guy to take over the game because he's a guy that has run in cold weather, as again that was alluded to earlier. But the thing they want to do is put the ball into Vinny's hands and make him have to beat you.
You're saying Vinny Testaverde's the man that's got to top us today, huh?
And we're going to talk about that a little later, but I think that's what you got to do if you're Jacksonville. Make him have to beat you through the air.
All right, what about special teams here?
I think this is one of the hidden keys right here. I think winning the kicking game will be very big. You've got Reggie Barlow, one of the top return men in the AFC. This guy can create big plays, create field position. Also the 2 kickers. You've got Hollis, you've got Barker, Pro Bowl kickers. Hall, Kidd on the other side. Field position, big plays, big return game could be a big key.
This Hollis is unbelievable. He's made 27 of his last 28 away from home. All right, let's talk about the Jets now, their perspective, the keys, number 1.
I think the Jets, again, we talked about, alluded to it earlier, Vinny Testaverde, his decision-making. I think, again, he's going to be looking at some of the zone blitz that Jacksonville is going to have. He's got to make good decisions. He's had a top year, there's no question about it. Playoff time, hasn't beaten Jacksonville. What he's got to do now is step up and continue to do the things he's been doing.
All right, and how about third down? You have that one down.
I think that's going to be a big key. I think let's look at it at halftime. Let's see who's winning the third down battle. 2 of the top teams on offense that have one of the top percentages of conversions. I think, again, it's going to be important for the Jets to take care of Fred Taylor early. Don't get him in 3rd and short. Allow him now to make half the long yardage situations.
And that third down story also spills over to the offensive side for the Jets, too.
No question. I think if they can stay in 3rd and short, spread them out as they do a great job of, throw the short passing game. Again, I think Vinny's good when he can see the field, don't move people around, pinpoint passing, but stay in 3rd and short. They didn't make it there, so again, Curtis Martin, a big key.
We all know late in the year there was no team hotter than the New York Jets, and will they come out with that momentum still on their back? What do you think?
And I think it's important that they do right now, Jim, because I think you're looking at an inexperienced football team against a team of Jacksonville who says, hey, we've gone to Denver and won. We've gone to Buffalo and won. Get off early. A New York crowd that can be hollering Jets, Jets, Jets. It's going to be important to get off to a fast start so they can get them behind it, take away the inexperience. Because I'm going to tell you, Jacksonville, if they get up, they're going to start getting that feeling that they can do it again. Hey,
you made some changes this week. You got a new hire. Tell us about Kevin Gilbride coming on as your offensive coordinator.
Well, I guess it's the one good thing about it being eliminated. I mean, again, we'd rather be back in Pittsburgh playing this time of year in the snow. But, you know, having the ability to get a Kevin Gilbride to come in who's worked with a Warren Moon, a Mark Brunell, a Steve Birdline, a Rob Johnson, it's going to be important. I think it's going to allow us to take our quarterback, a young Cordell Stewart, to evolve, to grow, knows our system, knows the division very well. I think a great acquisition for us.
And, of course, used to be the Jags offensive coordinator. You say the Jags can do it today if there are no turnovers on their side, huh?
I think that's a big key, and I think if they don't turn it over, but we are in New York, so we'll see
you
what
want to get
happens.
home safely. We're going to be back. Game time approaches. Back in a moment. All right, they're stirred to a frenzy at Giant Stadium. Brent Jones, financial advisor, is at the game. And we're getting set for the Jets and the Jags. A quick pick here.
Jets are healthy and they're fresh. I'm going to go with the Jets.
Home field advantage too much. I'm sticking with the Jets, too.
I'm sticking with the Jets, too.
I'm going to go with the Jets and the seat away from my man at Denver. That's what I want.
You guys don't believe me. I like the Jags leading at halftime. I'll get you that far, all right? Coming up, the AFC Divisional playoff game between the Jags and the Jets. The winner gets to play the Broncos next Sunday. We'll see you back on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. Enjoy.
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
It's been 30 years since the fans of New York City were swept up by one of the great upsets in football history. Joe Namath and the New York Jets victorious in Super Bowl III. Bill Parcells earned his place among New York football legends by winning 2 titles as head coach of the Giants. He's back in New York, this time as head coach of the New York Jets. Answering the prayers of their fans, the Jets captured the AFC East title and have positioned themselves for a run at a 2nd Super Bowl. Jacksonville head coach Tom Coughlin is a Bill Parcells disciple, his fiery style reminiscent of his mentor. He's also tasted success as a head coach. He took over the Jaguars in '95. 1 year later, had them in the AFC Championship game after stunning upsets in Buffalo and in Denver. Now the Jags are back in the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. A first-round victory last week over New England has put the Jags 1 game away from the AFC title game and 2 wins away from the Super Bowl. It's been 12 years since the Jets have hosted a playoff game. Today, a time this team and its fans have thirsted for. It's a battle for the final spot in the AFC Championship game as Jacksonville travels into frenzied Jet territory. Coverage of the AFC Divisional Championships continues this afternoon from the Meadowlands in New Jersey. The Jacksonville Jaguars come in as champions of the Central Division with a 12-5 record overall to take on the New York Jets, who are 12-4. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Randy Cross. Welcome to the Meadowlands and the continuation of a remarkable Jet story. 1-15 2 years ago, division champions for the first time since the merger this year. And Randy, any number of feel-good stories this year, none more prominent than Vinny Testaverde and his quarterback play for the Jets.
When I think of Vinny Testaverde, I think of poise and confidence in 1998. The Jaguars' goal of the day on Vinny Testaverde, they got to blitz him and try to shake that confidence. For the Jets defense, if you had to say one guy embodies the whole thing that the Jets are about on defense, it's Brian Cox. The entire team has to reflect his personality. For the Jaguars, they got kind of a two-headed monster on offense. Mark Brunell has to stay in the game and has to stay healthy. Fred Taylor's running game keeps Mark Brunell healthy. But for the Jaguars on defense, a huge story will be how they handle Vinny in the offense. And Kevin Hardy has to be the guy in charge of getting after Vinny Testaverde.
Jets in the playoffs for the first time since '91, first time at home since 1986. We'll be back. 5 degrees, but down on the field. For more on that story, here's Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, Vern, this is the ice that was chipped off the sidelines earlier today, but the field itself is fine. It was covered by a tarp before all the snow and rain hit earlier this week. Players who were warming up told me it's springy and soft, not frozen and hard like they expected, but no one was afraid to admit how cold it is down here, and it's only going to get colder as the wind picks up, which is expected to do. Vern, back up to you.
All right, Michelle, the Jets have won the toss and have elected to receive before obviously a sellout crowd of better than 74,000. Mike Hollis will kick off. And the deep men for the New York Jets, Kevin Williams, number 23, and Dave Meggett, picked up by Bill Parcells as a free agent in mid-December when Leon Johnson went down. He is a Parcells favorite.
And this is the time of year, these are the reasons you sign a Dave Meggett late.
Here's the Hollis kick. And it will be taken by Meggett at the 9-yard line. Spilled as he gets to the 29-yard line. Vinny Testaverde, 12-1 as the start of this year. But for all his years in the NFL, this will be only his 3rd playoff start. He was 1-1 as a starter for Cleveland in '94. Up front, remarkable play by an offensive line that has started every game this year. Elliott, Berger, Mawai, O'Dwyer, and Fabini. Curtis Martin, more than 1,200 yards. Byers back from an inactivity. Crabette and Keyshawn Johnson both with over 1,000 yards receiving. Officially, the ball spotted at the 30, first down and 10. That's Byers in motion. And Testaverde will throw on first down, lobs it out to Martin. He's got 2 blockers in front. Breaks across the 40 and surges out to the 46-yard line. Bryce Pop makes the tackle. A gain of 17 and a first down for the Jets. Jacksonville's defense, and it has been a problem this season. Smengi, Yurkovich, Pritchett, and Curry up front for Tony Brackens. Pop, Schwartz, and Hardy, the linebackers. And in the secondary, you've got Beasley, Hudson, Darius, and Dave Thomas at 6'3". He goes up against Keyshawn Johnson much of the afternoon. First down from the 47. Play fake. Testaverde comes right. He's got Keyshawn Johnson across the 50 to the 48. And Aaron Beasley is there to make the tackle.
I really like that first call, that little screen play, because that set up some blocking down the field and some physical football, specifically by Kevin Mawai, the center. But then you follow it up with a little short one to Keyshawn, and you got something going on out here on the outside. Jacksonville does not have small corners. Beasley 21 is not a small corner, and on the other side, Dave Thomas is the exact same size as Keyshawn Johnson.
Bill Parcells in his second year as head coach of the Jets. Author of an astounding turnaround. Here's the handoff to Martin on 2nd and 3. And he breaks it up the middle over Kevin Mawai's block. First down, Jets after the 7-yard gain. Kevin Hardy and Eric Curry make the tackle.
Well, what the Jets want to do is establish inside a matchup right here. John Yurkovich and Kevin Mawai. Look at the quick swim by Mawai. He knows he's got Byers coming backside on that quick trap from the wing. That opens the entire defense up. That wasn't a group of really fantastic blocks on Tom Coughlin's defense. It was the defense reacting to what they saw and overreacting, creating a hole.
First down at the 39. This is Brady in motion to the left. There's a quick toss out to Martin. Aaron Curry with penetration, and Martin cuts back to the right. Curtis Martin at the 33-yard line. Donovan Darius and Chris Hudson, the safeties, make the tackle.
Well, that was a nice job, though, by Donovan Darius at that safety position, because the Jets have got this quick toss. Denver started this with Terrell Davis. The Jets have adopted it. The whole idea is to get the corner. The corner's been stuffed, so when Martin breaks back, that young safety has the presence of mind to be there and cut that whole thing off. But look at Keyshawn Johnson working inside against Eric Curry, a defensive end. I love watching these receivers from New York block, because they'll block linemen, linebackers, it doesn't matter.
Johnson wide to the left on 2nd down. Byers in motion. They hand it off to Martin. This time, defensive penetration led by John Yurkovich. The fire plug at defensive tackle, and Martin is stopped at the 35.
Hey, this Jacksonville defense has really been worn out the last 3 or 4 weeks. Not so much on the field as much as off the field. People just ripped this team. Curtis Martin made a comment about having a big game this week, and this defense is taking it personally. But the best way to take it personally against a Curtis Martin, you better be able to handle those 5 guys up front.
Dave Meggett in. First time on offense, and the spread offense now for Vinny Testaverde. He's got 5 receivers out. Johnson in the slot to the left on 3rd down. Here comes the blitz. Beasley coming in the blitz, and Meggett with the catch. Playing, of course, for Parcells out of Towson State with the Giants. A 5th-round draft pick. Then went to New England when it was cut by the Patriots and signed by Bill in December.
You know, been waiting for this since the playoffs started. The off week, knowing that Bill Parcells and David Meggett weren't rejoined here in New York with the Jets, for Dave Meggett to cover kickoffs. He's a weapon as a receiver out of the backfield. He lined up in that case as the wide split receiver on the left. And don't forget also, this young guy out of Towson State, like you said, can also throw a pass.
That's a 14-yard gain officially. Testaverde play fake. Swinging comes from the outside. Johnson touchdown. Keyshawn Johnson.
The Jets have motion. The Jets are a little spread out with Keyshawn. Vinny reads the defense. And look what Keyshawn Johnson has done all alone. Every game there's a defensive back that seems to have a kick me sign on him. Aaron Beasley is the kick me sign for Jacksonville.
John Hall knocks through the point after touchdown. Keyshawn Johnson, 83 catches in the regular season. His first ever in the playoffs. Jets lead by 7.
There's not much space here between Keyshawn and Aaron Beasley. Watch that space grow. Safety sits. Keyshawn keeps going. Great execution and mental alertness by Vinny Testaverde to find Keyshawn.
Here's the kick from John Hall, Tavian Banks, and Reggie Barlow deep. This is Tavian Banks at the 5. Comes left, and the Jaguars will get it offensively for the first time at their own 24-yard line. Well, the Jets go with the opening kickoff, 70 yards. They average 10 per pop. Johnson gets the touchdown from 21 yards out.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. State Farm Insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by American Express. American Express helps you do more.
Jacksonville first down, 10 at the 24. Mark Brunell injured in the second play toward the end of the season against Detroit. He missed, in effect, 4 regular season games. Modestly effective last week when he came back with a high ankle sprain. The big question for Mark Brunell is a matter of mobility. First down, Jets open with a 3-4 defense, and they send at 3. Brunell with time, but good coverage, and it's batted backwards by Jason Ferguson. Let's check the defensive line. You now know that Jason Ferguson is opening up a tackle. We'll check the Jaguars offense. Boselli, Coleman, John Wade, his second start. Brian DeMarco and Leon Searcy. Fred Taylor, Damon Shelton in the backfield. Keenan McCardell and Jimmy Smith at the wideouts. And Pete Mitchell is the tight end. Second down and 10. Taylor comes left. Finds a crack across the 30, out near the 34-yard line. Now their normal defensive alignment for the Jets looks like this, a 4-3. So they opened with a 3-4. Lyle, Ferguson, Logan, and Pleasant up front. The linebackers, Mo Lewis, Pepper Johnson, and Brian Cox. Aaron Glenn will play today. He's been injured with a bad ankle, but Ray Mickens starts for him. Corwin Brown, Green, and Otis Smith complete that defensive alignment. And we have a measurement. That much for the first.
One thing about facing Bill Parcells' defense led by Bill Belichick is you know you're going to get variety. And right away from the get-go, Belichick there is showing Mark Brunell and the Jags offense, I'm not giving you what you're going to expect all the time. Watch on third down. Belichick will go with 2 defensive linemen, 5 linebackers sometimes. You can never predict what this guy's going to pull on you, but you've got to be able to react.
Third and a foot. Double tight end set. You see the CBS first down line. Mark beyond which they must go, and they do. Fred Taylor gets the first down at the 35. Jason Ferguson with the tackle. And help supplied by Pepper Johnson and Mo Lewis.
One thing about this young running back out of Florida, though, you see him twice so far. He's gone onside. And when he runs onside, he can pop some big plays. And last week, 162 yards in that wild card game against New England. He's at his most dangerous, though, when he cut backs and thinks you're going to give him that gap.
Skips across the 35 and into the hands of Rick Lyle and Jason Ferguson, 95 and 72. A lot been made that Fred Taylor, who grew up in Belgrade, Florida, and played, of course, collegiately at the University of Florida, is not used to the cold. He was telling us last night that the first time he saw snow was on a recruiting trip to Michigan State in Lansing, and he thought that Gainesville looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think all that kind of stuff is just hype for sports writers personally. This kid can run.
And right about now, he's forgotten that it's a little chilly. Here's Brunell with a play fake. Look at the time. And the pass incomplete, intended for Pete Mitchell. Brian Cox, number 51, was there. But again, Brunell with good offensive line play.
Well, you remember what we talked about, though, that Brunell has got to stay healthy. And I'm sure the Jaguars went in thinking, hey, look, they're going to blitz him. They're going to come after him and try to knock him around. Well, what Belichick and the defense are doing are going, hey, we're not going to blitz you. You're going to have to beat us with your head as much as your arm and your feet.
Mark Brunell said last night that one of the keys for the Jaguars today is how well they recognize third down defenses that Bill Belichick throws at them. 3rd and 9 here. Here comes the blitz. Brunell in trouble, clips it out. Intended for Damon Shelton, the fullback. And there's a flag.
Prior to the snap, delay of the game, offense. Prior to the snap, delay of the game, offense. 5 yards.
is a big break for the Jacksonville Jaguars because Tom Coughlin's offense now has seen one of Bill Belichick's blitz packages. Came out and looked like a four-man line with Brian Cox coming from the quarterback's onside, the left side. They blitzed him on the backside. They've seen the package. Can they take advantage?
3rd and 14. Reggie Barlow to the left. Brunell will go into the shotgun, but McElwee blows his whistle. Now let's see what Bob McElwee has to explain.
8:28, please. 8:28.
Well, they put an additional 8 seconds back on the clock. This is a Jacksonville team that comes in as division champions, first time in their 4-year history. Tom Coughlin, of course, has been the coach all 4 years. They are the more experienced playoff team between these two. Here's Brunell. Here comes the rush. Cascadden is coming, and the pass is into the general vicinity of the Jacksonville bench. Anthony Pleasant put the pressure on, and look at Brunell limping as he gets up.
Well, when you hit Brunell, it's got to be inside out. When I say inside out, cause a confusion between the guards and the center. Look at the game inside. Pleasant goes outside. Cox comes inside, and Pleasant gets released. And it's Pleasant that hits Mark Brunell. Watch the stunts and the blitzes inside, getting in Mark Brunell's legs.
Brian Barker on to punt on 4th down. Dave Meggett still dangerous at 32. Will grab this one at the 29. This time, excellent downfield coverage by the Jaguars. A 40-yard punt for Brian Barker. 4 on the return for Dave Meggett. We play midway through the first quarter. January in Jersey. The Jets lead 7-0.
CBS is sponsored by the American General Financial Group. Live the life you've imagined. And by IBM. Are you ready for e-business?
Dick Duran, the defensive coordinator of the Jaguars, said last night their goal today is to limit the Jets to 2 big plays in 60 plays. Big plays defined as a run over 15 or a pass over 20. In the first drive, the Jets had 2 big plays, 2 for 7. Here's Testaverde, handoff, Curtis Martin. Up the middle to the 5-yard line. John Yurkovich with the tackle. Tuesday's world premiere movie, A Family of Cops, is threatened when a banker's murder points to one of their own. Charles Bronson stars in a world premiere movie, Family of Cops, Tuesday on CBS, America's most watched network.
Charles Bronson cut down on a few big plays. Jacksonville defense might need somebody like him if Bill Parcells' offense keeps running these formations and these big plays at him.
2nd and 7. You see the first down, CBS first down line to the right. And here's Testaverde, still perfect. Keith Byers makes the grab. And a fight is broken out at the 30-yard line. Doesn't appear that it will amount to much. Kevin Pritchett is one of those involved, and Kevin Mawai, the center, number 68.
Kevin Mawai is a guy they can ill afford to lose. So the last thing you want is a veteran like that who does not have all the playoff experience in the world coming from a place like the Seattle Seahawks. In this high pressure, really emotionally focused type situations as the playoffs can be. But this Jets offensive line has got a real attitude about what it wants to do and how it wants to do it. And look at Mawai go after Pritchett after Pritchett hit Todd Berger. This is a line that doesn't get a lot of credit, but they're a lot of the reason Vinny's played so well.
3rd and 4, and the spread offense now for the Jets. 4-man rush for Jacksonville, popped across the middle, and there is something rare. Wayne Kravett drops a pass.
I'll tell you something else about that, though, is the fact that Jacksonville defense did a nice job. Watch Kravett just try to come right behind the line. But the Jacksonville defense is right there to stop him. Hudson, the safety, filling up real quick like that. That's what Dick Duran's defense needs to do against the Jets. Don't give him room to breathe.
John Kidd, the 3rd Jet putter this season, will send it deep to Reggie Barlow, who led the AFC with a 13-yard per return average. This Not a good punt, but it makes a nice bounce straight up in the air and is picked up by Kevin Devine, and he pays the price back to the 15-yard line.
That is a mental mistake by Kevin Devine. He had no business being near that ball. Bad news is, Kevin, you got to go talk to Tom Coughlin now.
About a 20-minute drive away from Midtown Manhattan or downtown Manhattan as far as that goes. That's a 20-minute drive with no traffic, by the way. And a first down after the -10 on the return for Kevin Devine. Here's Taylor coming left. Up across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Anthony Pleasant, number 98, made the tackle.
I think one thing that surprises defenses about him, about the running back Taylor, is his leg strength. He's 230 pounds, but when you look at his thighs and his calves, he almost looks like Natron Means, who used to run for this Jaguars offense and is now down in San Diego. A lot of power out of those legs, but also about 4.40.
4 for 16 in the early going. 1,200 yards in his first season with the Jaguars. Four-man rush for the Jets. Brunell across the middle. Caught by Tavian Banks, number 22. Tackle made by Chad Cascade, number 53.
Well, Chris Palmer, the defensive coordinator for the Jaguars, gives the Jets a little different look, putting the young running back out there at wide receiver and dragged him underneath Jimmy Smith.
Now Damon Jones, an extra tight end, is split way out to the right side on first down and 10. Brunell changing at the line. Here comes the blitz. Taylor tries to cut back, runs into Anthony Pleasant, number 98. Randy was talking about the thighs that Taylor has.
And one thing he does with those thighs so well, Vern, is he loves to cut back. He's looking back here. This play wants to go here. Watch how well Mo Lewis and the backside of this defense protect the cutback. Anthony Pleasant's right there, and Mo Lewis had the cutback gone.
2nd and 9, deep right side. Ray Mickens is back defending, and he has excellent coverage on the speedster, number 86. Elvis Whitted. Well, they put that one in to take advantage of the 5'7" Ray Mickens, but he was right there.
And when you don't have an all-pro type cornerback like Glenn starting at corner, you go after a Mickens. But Mickens had so much pad, and look at his body position on this pass. Perfect body position. That's defensive corner work on a long ball.
3rd and 9. Jaguars trail by 7. Need to get to the 41. Brunell chased to his left. Pulls up. Finds his receiver. Keenan McCardell, number 87, and that's good for the conversion.
Well, we've seen Mark Brunell move. Mark Brunell isn't moving with that speed he normally does, but he's got a little bounce in his step, and that's good for the Jacksonville offense. It's bad for the New York Jets offense, so if he can escape the pressure that easily and that quickly, because Anthony Pleasant got in his face, he got the corner, and there was no threat on Brunell.
First down and 10 at the 42. I formation this time, and Mitchell comes in motion. Taylor. Brian Cox, number 51, makes the tackle.
I talked about Brian Cox being the attitude and the emotion of this entire Jets team. That's what he's really brought here since Bill Parcells brought him in at the end of July. I mean, veterans, great. Veterans can be fantastic, but it's an intangible that Brian Cox has brought, and most of that's just attitude.
Brian Cox, an owner of some racehorses, and that's a passion he shares with Parcells. That's where they began a relationship that led to Cox coming here. Here's the handoff, and Anthony Pleasant makes the tackle on Fred Taylor.
Well, Tony Baselli, the all-pro left tackle's working against Anthony Pleasant, and so far Anthony Pleasant is keeping those pads low. He's stuffing the big guy. Look at that play. We have seen some real nice fundamental football from Jet defenders so far. People talk about how well coached they are. You've seen a couple of real nice examples of how well coached this Jet defense is.
3rd and 6, and the shotgun employed. Brunell retreats, drills it, has a man open. It's McCardell across the 50 for the first time. A 10-yard gain. Keenan McCardell, first down, Jaguars.
And in on that tackle on that play was Aaron Glenn, normally the starter at left cornerback. And watch the matchup between McCardell and how he finds a spot for his quarterback. There's the spot, he finds it, and Brunell finds him. They're going to look at Glenn, and they're going to go after Mickens, guaranteed. But a little pass blocking. Think Baselli's strong at all? There's a little of that attitude, too, out of Brian Cox. He was fined twice before this year, though, for swinging at people.
Whittett's back in. Here's the reverse to Elvis. No, it's a fake reverse, and the pass incomplete as Bobby Hamilton got a hand up, and Mo Lewis was also there. They fake to the speedster, Whitted, and then Brunell lets it go.
Defensive technique, coaching, and responsibility. Watch Hamilton, 92, come in, get up the field, then Mo Lewis gets right in Brunell's face and maintains the onside contain. That's another good sign of very, very good coaching and execution by the defense.
2nd and 10, 7-0 on a Keyshawn Johnson 21-yard touchdown catch. Taylor skips at the line, gets to the 43-yard line. Get online and send your funniest football joke to superbowl.com, then tune in Saturday night, January 30th. You see if it airs during the NFL All-Star Comedy Blitz. 3rd and 8. Jaguars 3 of 4 on 3rd down conversions.
3rd down passing. Bill Cowher talked about how important that was for Jacksonville in the pregame show. Brunell in this offense so far executing very well on 3rd down passing.
With time, batted back again, Brian Cox. Got his hand on the ball.
Well, part of that attitude when you're working against a big horse like Tony Baselli is knowing when the battle might be a little bit over, but still having the presence of mind to get the hands up to block a pass, because guarantee you one thing, Tony Baselli is going to try to maul you physically.
Barker on for the 2nd punt. May get back to return it. Nice and high. And a fair catch called at the 6, perhaps the 7-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. Barker brings rain on a sunny day. Time call. 'Tis a chilly day in January, but almost no wind. Beautiful shots from up on top. Today's aerial coverage provided by Southwest Airlines. Curtis Martin with his heels almost on the goal line, and Bill Parcells has gone with a 3 wide receiver set on 1st down and 10. Martin out near the 10-yard line. Yeah, let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, guys, because of a heart condition, Vinny Testaverde's dad, Alfred, can't watch the games in person or on TV. I called him this morning to find out how he'd be passing the time. He said he'd probably go to his daughter Elaine's to do some work in the basement. He said he knew she'd be watching the game, but all the carpentry work he'd be doing would drown out the noise. And he said, no matter what I do, it's a long 3 hours, Vern.
I can imagine. Well, if somehow word gets to him, they can say his son's doing quite well. 2nd and 8. Here's Martin with a toss. Cuts it back to the right. Gets a couple of yards. Joel Smengi, number 99, with the tackle.
What a nice job, too, by Eric Curry there, Vern. They gave him a little different type of formation, and Eric Curry blew right up the field outside of Jumbo Elliott and set up a nice situation where Curtis Martin had to cut back. So far, Dick Geron's doing an excellent job of game planning since that first drive.
Well, we have reached the end of 1. That's the end of the first quarter. Bill Parcells' squad on top 7-0. They went 70 yards in 7 plays. Keyshawn Johnson got the touchdown. We'll return to Giant Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station. CBS coverage of the divisional playoffs continuing from Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We began quarter number 2. The Jets leading 7-0, scored on their opening drive, a 21-yard toss Vinny Testaverde to Keyshawn Johnson, Don Lundquist, Randy Cross, and Michelle Tafoya here. First home game since 1986 in that season. The Jets defeated Kansas City in the first round game, then went out to Cleveland and lost in double overtime. They were back in the playoffs in '91, but lost a wild card game in Houston, 17-10. Leading here, but looking at a 3rd and 6. And calling timeout. Time was actually called by Jacksonville. We'll be back in just a moment.
No excuse for this coming out of a quarter break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 players on the field after a quarter break. So that's why that look on Tom Coughlin's face was a little bit more than quizzical when we went to that commercial. He wanted to know who was it and why.
Yeah, quizzical evolved into anger. 3rd and 6. Testaverde play fake. Little pressure. Pressure coming from behind, and they get the catch to Corbett out to the 21-yard line.
There is nobody better in the league than creating and finding dead spots in defenses and giving his quarterbacks something to hit than Wayne Corbett. Between the combination of Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson, these guys catching first down balls are unrivaled in the NFL. Because Vinny Testaverde is getting pressure onside first, and he doesn't know it, but it's coming from Curry on the backside. And look at Corbett. He finds the spot, turns his body, gives Vinny a target.
Dedrick Ward in the lineup, wide to the left. Here's Curtis Martin bursting over right guard, out across the 20 to the 28-yard line. Kevin Hardy, number 51, made the tackle.
That's something you haven't seen too much out of Curtis Martin this year. You know, he had 1,200 and some odd yards, averaged 3.5 yards to carry. But this guy has not run very often with just kind of a wild, crazy abandon. And you saw him just attack the line of scrimmage there.
4th consecutive season in which he has surpassed 1,000 yards. The first 3, of course, in New England. 2nd down. Here's Testaverde. Lobs it. Eddie Mason, number 53, in defensively, and now a flag is dropped.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 20, defense, 15 yards, first down.
Donovan Darius.
Poise and control are signs of Coughlin teams and Parcells teams. Vinny Testaverde sets the double screen up well, but watch the poise and control of Curtis Martin and the lack thereof right there by the young guy Donovan Darius, giving him the shot in the head when he's on the ground. No excuse, period. End of report.
Now Meggett is in the backfield after the 15-yard penalty. And a first down at the 47-yard line. Testaverde, quick setup. Whoa, boy. Donovan Darius almost made amends of immense proportion.
When you're playing a team that physically is better than you, and the Jets are better than Jacksonville, you can't make the dumb mistakes. And when you get opportunities like that, you've got to take advantage of it. In the playoff situation, when you get a chance to get a hand on a ball, you got to find a way. And Donovan Darius wasn't complete, and he knocked it down. But what a great way to make up for a dumb mistake and make a nice catch.
Only the 2nd incompletion for Testaverde. He's 7 of 9, 2nd and 10. 7-0 Jets. Corbett in motion. Testaverde looking right all the way this time. Finds Keyshawn Johnson. That's the 3rd catch for Johnson. He celebrated his selection to the Pro Bowl this week by buying 3 rather expensive watches for the 3 quarterbacks on this ball club.
Hey, he bought them all Rolexes.
That's what I said. Very expensive watch.
But I tell you what he does for Vinny Testaverde is not so much, you know, what he brings is a guy that after he catches the ball can be physical. And you saw him right there on Bill Parcells' sideline get physical and get all the way just about to a first down. In fact, they're going to measure, see if he did get it.
And they got it.
That's the part of Keyshawn's game I think he's really improved since he came in the league, is learning to be more physical. He's got the size advantage. Why not be physical? And there's what I was talking about earlier on third down and getting those big catches, second or third down, but getting those big catches for a first down.
Wayne Corbett. No two wide receivers in personality could be more opposite than these two. But it does not carry over to their complementary play on the field. Here's Martin to the 40-yard line. Tackle made by Kevin Hardy. Tuesday on CBS, a special two-part JAG begins when Mac investigates a Navy cover-up. Then it concludes Wednesday when a hostage rescue goes horribly wrong. All new JAGs Tuesday and Wednesday on CBS, America's most watched network. Well, a lot of concern overnight, Randy, about wind. Almost non-existent. We've had a variety of atmospheric conditions here. Snow on Friday, fog yesterday, and clear skies today. Keith Byers to the 32. Kevin Hardy with a tackle on number 41.
Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, helped design a video NFL football game in the offseason, and right now the way he's calling plays, he looks like he's got one of those little game controllers out, and he's just kind of picking his spots. He knows he's got a good offense, and he's giving him a little bit of everything. Gave him a little Meggett, give him a little Martin, give him a little Byers, give him a little Corbett.
Back split. This drive began on the 7-yard line after a Brian Barker punt. Blitz coming. Testaverde, a little pressure, pulls up and throws it away. Dave Thomas and Keyshawn Johnson. Dave Thomas said he would not chat with Keyshawn today, but I think he had a couple of things to say then.
Well, you know, when Dave Thomas is back covering a Keyshawn Johnson, too, when the old Vinny in that situation might have tried to make something happen. Vinny didn't try to make something happen, and when you're going against that matchup there, look at Keyshawn Johnson's size. He usually dominates defensive backs. There's virtually no difference.
Dave Thomas and Keyshawn Johnson renew their rivalry to the left side. Here's the toss to Martin, and Martin hit behind the line and loses yardage back to the 35. Joel Smengi, who's probably destined for off-season shoulder surgery, but plays on despite the injury.
Well, on that play there, he fought right through Brady, and when you see Kyle Brady in the Jets offense, pay very careful attention to Kyle Brady. Because sometimes he's at a wing tight end, sometimes he's in a slot tight end, and very often he's in motion acting as a trapper. That time Smengi came right through the shoulder and wouldn't let Curtis Martin get the corner again on that quick toss.
Corbett and Johnson come to the near side. Dedrick Ward, he is tight right, and Fred Baxter's in as an extra tight end. Johnson and Testaverde goes deep for Dedrick Ward, incomplete at the 14-yard line. Coverage from Kevin Devine.
Well, I got to tell you something now, Vern. I mean, I'm enjoying this game, obviously, but Eric Curry, number 75, for a guy that's starting for Tony Brackens and hasn't played a whole lot, look at him working right there against Fred Baxter, the tight end, and getting this pressure on Vinny Testaverde. We've seen this guy, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer first-round draft choice, really coming on and has brought a serious dose of football to the Jets offense.
John Hall will attempt one officially from 51 yards. Has a great leg. Accuracy sometimes a problem, but not now. What win?
CBS is sponsored by the new Dodge. It's about change. Nike and the Nike Alpha Project. And by Staples, the office superstore.
John Hall has just set a New York Jet postseason record for longest field goal. And officially, they're going to give him that extra 4 inches and make it a 52-yarder. Now he will kick off, and Reggie Barlow is one of 2 men deep, joined by Tavian Banks. And this one almost as long as the field goal effort. It bounces inside the 20. Chris Hayes. Davian Banks. John Hall. Bill Parcells says go ahead and try it.
Well, in a place where most people think, you know, you don't kick a lot of long field goals here, but how much doubt did he have? And it wasn't like it crawled over, folks. Look at that. He had plenty of leg. Might have been good from 53.
54.
I don't know about 54.
No? Okay. 10-0. Mark Brunell and the Jaguars find themselves down. They defeated New England last week. They'll go deep left side, and this one's picked off. Smith, who's having really a terrific season, complements it with a playoff interception.
That one there looked like a Meadowlands football. Phil Simms, who played a lot of years here, talks about how when you're moving in this direction, throwing towards that corner of the field, the wind has a tendency to make the ball hang up and move, and that's exactly what happened. Otis Smith had good body position on Jimmy Smith. Mark Brunell looks, throws it up, and the ball just stalls. Look at the double coverage. That ball had no business being there. They're taking their shot against Otis Smith with Otis Smith with Jimmy Smith, but he made him pay.
First down and 10 at the 40. Martin across the 50 to the 45-yard line. A 15-yard gain. Kevin Hardy finally caught up with him.
Well, you know, sometimes, Vern, if you're an offensive lineman, you just got to take a guy where he wants to go. And Kevin Mawai and Todd Berger and Jumbo Elliott just take people where they want to go. Good job there by Jumbo Elliott, but look at the authority and the decision-making of a running back on that run right there. I mean, Curtis Martin is bringing it. He talked this week that he was going to have a big game. He was going to bring it. He has brought it.
That's a gain of 15 and the second big play on the ground. This could be the third. Here's Martin down to the 36-yard line. Donovan Darius with the tackle.
And that one there was right into the heart of the Jaguars defense. When you talk about the heart, you got to look at Kevin Mawai, the center. He works with the guards in there. O'Dwyer, little quick trap there by Byers on Yurkovich. Nice block by Kevin Mawai on the linebacker, Schwartz. Martin is bringing it, and those offensive linemen are the reason.
Curtis Martin, following the block of Kevin Mawai, now has 50 yards, halfway to his stated goal of 100. Here's a play fake from Testaverde. Drills it. Caught. No. Drop. Baxter, who has caught only 3 this season, had that one right in his mitts.
Bill Parcells talked about this version of Vinny Testaverde doesn't try to force the long passes down the field, and when he moves, he doesn't try to force the ball. He usually just runs. Well, this is designed for a pass. This is designed for Baxter to drag back behind. Vinny put it where it was supposed to be. You can't do it all, Vinny. You need a little help.
3rd and 1. Double tight end set. Baxter lined up tight to the left. Curtis Martin with a deep set has room. And a first down for the Jets at the 31-yard line. 5 more for Curtis Martin.
They're really
Schwartz, excuse me, Randy.
Oh, Vern, they're taking advantage right now. The Jacksonville defense running the ball behind Jumbo, Berger, and Kevin Mawai, because they're just pulverizing the inside of that defense and folding the defense down, enabling Curtis Martin to make those cuts. Watch the defense just fold down to the left, cuts back, sets up the cut back to the left. Dick Duran, the coordinator for the Jaguars, better start stunting. They're going to eat him alive.
1st and 10. Martin again. To the 30-yard line. Kevin Hardy with the tackle, number 51. Well, let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline question of the week. What was the most exciting regular season game this year? We'll give you 4 choices. A, B, C, or D. Log on to vote at cbssportsline.com and on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline.
There's Dick Duran, the defensive coordinator of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who who really has to be challenged right now with the attack that Bill Parcells' offense and the different looks they're giving him.
Corbett starts in motion. Testaverde goes right for Keyshawn Johnson. And he moves it to the 25-yard line. Well, Vinny Testaverde, of course, released last year by Ted Marchibroda and the Baltimore Colts. They decided, Baltimore Colts, listen to me, the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going back to the days of the Super Bowl III, and what a turnaround it's been for him.
It really has been, because these numbers as a Jet, I mean, how can you ask for a quarterback to be a better decision maker and a more positive force? And talk about a guy that's in the perfect situation. He's around his family year-round. I've never seen Vinny, and I've been around him most of his career. I've never seen Vinny this comfortable and confident.
3rd and 2. They toss it to Martin. He spins, and he's got the first down. Inside the 20 and down to the 18. Chris Hudson finally got there, but much too late.
Well, some guys bring it in bags, and some guys bring it in buckets. And Curtis Martin is getting a bucket full of help from his line. He gets a missed tackle by Curry, and then he just spins out. And if you're a safety, they've got him. He's gone. No, he's not. Here he comes.
Now Bill Parcells has Meggett in the lineup along with Alex Van Dyke. 5 receivers. Meggett split way to the left. Across the middle, incomplete. Dave Thomas got there defensively as Keyshawn Johnson made the stop.
You know, one thing this defense needs to do more of is you need to be more proactive and not reactive. They're seeing the formations, and they're sort of sitting back and letting the Jets take this offense to them. Defensively, if the Jaguars don't start attacking Vinny in this offense, especially up in the front 5 with the offensive line, they will dictate the rest of this game with this style of physical football.
Corbett goes wide right on 2nd and 10. Johnson wide to the left. They're also exercising great ball control. This, the 9th play of the drive. Here's Martin. And Randy, this is a Jacksonville team that has been susceptible to the run most of the year. They gave up. There's a flag, comes late. Tom Coughlin's team gave up 205 to Pittsburgh in the last regular season game on the ground. They thought they'd solved the problem in a convincing.
Illegal motion, 2 men moving prior to the snap, and they did not reset. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And that's a mental mistake. And you can make physical mistakes for Bill Parcells to some extent. We talked to a lot of his ex-players, and they'll tell you about how long Bill Parcells tolerates mental mistakes.
That is the first penalty for New York, and it comes with 5:43 to go before the break. 2nd and 15 at the 22. Byers out. Dedrick Ward comes back in. Testaverde talking with us about the contributions of his 2 regular wide receivers, Johnson and Corbett, said, don't forget Dedrick Ward. He's won about 4 games this year with huge plays. He split to the left. Fumble picked up on 1 bounce. And here we go with Chris Hudson. He laterals back to Eric Curry, and then Dave Thomas loses it. Are you kidding me? There is a flag down at the 39 as well. Chris Hudson picked it up on 1 bounce and inexplicably decided to lateral the ball to Eric Curry.
One of the cardinal sins you can make as a defender is when you make something good happen, the last thing you want to do is try to make something better happen, and it ends up being negative. And Tom Coughlin's football team showed a little lack of power half. 10 guys on the field, late hit by Darius, and that is another mental lapse by Hudson. There's no excuse for it. You just do not do that at the end of the play.
Now we'll have a conversation led by Bob McElwee. Joel Smengi is the man who made the hit on Curtis Martin that started all of this.
But the question here too has to center around if it was a forward lateral or not when Hudson threw it. Because Hudson looked back and thought he saw somebody, Dave Thomas. But by the time Thomas, I think it was, got by him, he was in front of him.
There is no foul. The fumble recovery is good. First down.
I mean, one three-letter word. Wow. Curtis Martin, there's the negative for the Jets. There's the positive for the Jaguars. Keep it a positive. No, don't. He's going to do it again. And by the time he flips it, it ends up being a forward lateral. Thomas and Curry are in there. And that is lack of poise and lack of control. And Coughlin, like Parcells, does not tolerate mental lapses.
Get the idea sometimes that there are a few too many highlight shows late at night and too many young players want to make their presence known on those highlight shows. Chris Hudson, in his 4th year from Colorado, had given his team a heck of a jump start and then negates it with the decision to lateral. Here's Byers in motion. Martin. Another 8 and maybe 9. Make it officially a 9-yard gain.
Well, Charlie Weiss upstairs says, hey, if you liked him on that last preempted drive right in your face, you're going to love him this time, because my offensive line is going to create a hole. Todd Berger is going to drive Jurkovich to the ground. Martin hurdles him, gets hit, and doesn't stop. When a guy gets in the air and gets hit 99.9% of the time, he immediately goes to the ground. Curtis Martin is running possessed.
Already 72 yards on 16 carries. They'll give it to him again. Bryce Pop makes the tackle and appears to be short of the first down.
Now, that was a little proactive defense. That wasn't waiting and reacting. Bryce Pop came in there and did a little proactive all over the chest of Curtis Martin on that run. And that's the kind of play, the kind of fire this defense needs to get back.
Jets are 4 of 6 on 3rd downs, and they've got 3rd and less than a foot here. Martin, first down, New York, out near the 50 at the 48. Donovan Darius makes the tackle. Well, either Jacksonville or the Jets will head out to the Rocky Mountains. The AFC Championship game next Sunday, 4 o'clock. The Denver Broncos, who looked just a little convincing yesterday in destroying Miami, will be at home again. Of course, it was 2 years ago that Jacksonville went out there and defeated the Broncos 30-27. And it will all begin with our coverage of the NFL today. The guys are going on site to Mile High next week.
Hey, Mike Shanahan's football team sent a message to the NFL, the heck with the AFC. Those losses, those lapses are gone.
1st and 10, Testaverde comes left, finds Corbett, who leans out and gets the first down at the 41. Dave Thomas makes the tackle, but a gain of 11.
You know, it's wide receivers like Keyshawn with his power and Wayne Corbett with his effort that spoil football fans and football coaches. Because not all receivers have Keyshawn's power, and not all receivers have Corbett's effort. That is a guy thinking the whole time he's on the football field. Right to the time he's being tackled, right to the time he goes to the ground, he's using his head.
He did not make the Pro Bowl roster this year. Many thought he should have, but he will go as a guest of Testaverde. Here's Vinny Testaverde for Johnson, tipped away. Nice play by Aaron Beasley, number 21, who got his right hand up.
Hey, you got to say Chris Hudson, too, was dragging across in coverage on Keyshawn Johnson. Because Keyshawn's going to come inside. Dave Thomas is going to try to stay with him, but it's a zone defense. They let him run, and look at Hudson pick him up. That is good defense, finished off by Beasley. Watch Beasley coming from the left side of your screen with that right hand.
Johnson breaks the huddle, goes wide to the right. Curtis Martin as Corbett goes in motion. Vinny Testaverde goes right. Keyshawn Johnson makes the grab in front of Kevin Devine, number 26.
Oh, that was a pass there. A veteran cornerback might have jumped on that. Vinny let that thing hang out there an awful long time. Devine was thinking tackle, not interception.
We have reached the 2-minute warning at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Jets up by 10.
Basketball Championship, CBS Sports.
Beautiful view of the skyline of Manhattan in the background. Giant Stadium in the foreground here at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford. And today's aerial coverage provided by Southwest Airlines. Temperature in the mid-20s. The Jets much hotter than that. And they lead at 10-0. Coming up at halftime on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report, we'll go back across the Hudson to Jim, Marcus, Brent Jones, Mike Lombardi, and Bill Cowher, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, for their analysis of the first half.
Jacksonville has to limit the Jets here. They can't let them score because Vinny and these Jets have dominated the first half. And that's domination right there.
More than double the number of plays, more than double the time of possession. And Curtis Martin has another first down at the 30-yard line, and another little fracas breaks out between these two teams who are not noted for the intensity of their rivalry. They've only played twice before.
Well, it's Jumbo Elliott and Kevin Hardy. There's no excuse for losing your poise like that. And it was started by Kevin Hardy of the Jaguars. Keep your poise. Your football team is killing itself, losing your composure. There's Jumbo right there getting a block on Hardy. He gives him a little bit of a push. That makes him mad, but you don't come back. You do not do that. Not smart football when you're physically being dominated and you're cooperating by being the other guy's 12th man by making dumb mistakes. You have no excuse if you're getting your tail whipped.
Kevin Hardy has been a standout for Jacksonville this year despite their struggles defensively. Strong side linebacker a year ago, made the switch to the weak side when they signed Bryce Paup as a free agent, and has led the team in tackles, but now and no flag down.
Well, the time for that macho and that fire is after the snap and before the whistle.
Interesting no call. 1st and 10. Testaverde goes deep right side. Johnson Mayer hangs on as Donovan Darius makes contact, but the 6th grab for Keyshawn Johnson.
Nice possession by Keyshawn. Good job by holding on to the ball. But look at the rope that Vinny Testaverde puts this thing out on. The young cornerback takes the bite. Donovan gets the hit. But Vinny lays it in the perfect spot between the corner and the safety. And kudos to Keyshawn for holding on to that one.
That was Kevin Devine who lost his balance, shall we say.
And Keyshawn had possession the whole way until he hit the ground.
6 for 67 for Keyshawn. Here's Testaverde. Lobs it out for his tight end, Kyle Brady, who was struggling to get his balance. As he turned around, he was wide open.
More pushing and shoving up front with Jose White and Matt O'Dwyer. The Jets are intimidating physically and mentally this defense right now. But Kyle Brady, Vinny kind of spins it in a bad spot, and Brady just can't physically adjust fast enough, or doesn't have quite enough football field to adjust to that pass.
Now Parcells will go with a 3 wide receiver set. 2 of them to the left side. Keyshawn Johnson split to the right. 2nd and 10. Draw play. Down to the 10-yard line. Donovan Darius and Brian Schwartz along with Chris Hudson. There, Tom Coughlin, 3 years on the staff with Bill Parcells and the New York Giants, then became the head coach at Boston College. When the Jacksonville job came open, Coughlin called Parcells, and Bill said he told Tom Coughlin, they've got 3 other guys they want to talk to. Why don't you let them talk to those 3 and tell them if they're not happy with them, come back to you and enhance your position. Said Coughlin did that. Reverse. Keyshawn Johnson. He will stroll in.
When you're in a situation as an offense where you are physically beating somebody and mentally you know you're in their heads, you can count on overreaction. The Jaguars defense overreacts to the onside, setting up Keyshawn Johnson, who's got a convoy out in front, just steps across, and despite Dave Thomas's hit, which is in the end zone, it's a touchdown.
Keyshawn Johnson ran twice in the regular season. He gets a touchdown on the ground. That's his second TD. He's gone both routes.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Propecia. Talk to your doctor today. And by 10-10-220.
Back at Giants Stadium. And the New York Jets dominating. Check this out. They have run 20 consecutive offensive plays.
It's just a mental and physical domination so far, not only by the guys on the field, the guys in the boxes. Charlie Weiss and Bill Belichick are having fabulous first halves, and the Jaguars in their non-defense, they're helping the Jets an awful lot.
9-play drive, and then it must seem like light years ago that Chris Hudson picked up a Curtis Martin fumble and returned it only to lateral and lose the ball back. Here's Reggie Barlow. Marcus Coleman comes over, and Chris Hayes, they make the tackle at the 35-yard line. That one return of a fumble, the only time that Jacksonville has touched the ball in the last 20 plays.
John, watch the defense react that way, and check out Kevin Mawai, the center for the Jets. That release has to tell a defense no other thing but, hey, I'm going downfield. But the Jag defense reacted so hard onside, there was nobody to see Kevin Mawai get out.
21-yard touchdown catch and a 10-yard touchdown run for Keyshawn Johnson. Here's a handoff. Fred Taylor out to the 40-yard line. Coming up in the NASDAQ Amex halftime report back across the Hudson. Jim Nantz, Brent Jones, Marcus Allen, Mike Lombardi, and Bill Cowher. First half analysis. That's coming up shortly. Here's Brunell. That's his fourth completion and the first catch for Jimmy Smith, number 82. Clock is stopped after the 8-yard gain. Jaguars have 6 seconds remaining in the first half. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Tom Coughlin, Mark Brunell having a quick chat. One timeout left.
It's just a situation. Bill Parcells' his defense, nobody gets behind you. Your defensive backs that are going to go back to as far as possible. Corwin Brown will be the deepest man. Deepest than the deepest. That's Corwin Brown right there. No one gets behind you.
Jets bring 3. Brunell up. Deep left side. That's caught. That's a touchdown. Oh my gosh, 52 yards. Jimmy Smith over Otis Smith.
Well, we've seen some mental lapses out of the Jacksonville Jaguars, cost them some points, but Tom Coughlin's offense right there, and their coordinator upstairs, Chris Palmer, everyone's thinking Big Ben. Don't let anybody they're going to lob it up there. Jimmy Smith just flat gets it down the sideline. And Mark Brunell, I talked about at the beginning of the game, throwing that deep ball well. That was perfect.
Mike Hollis for the extra point. Lightning strikes for the Jaguars. At the end of the half, Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells
will have some pearls for their boys in the locker room, because Otis Smith gets blown by Jimmy Smith. Look at that concentration to catch that. And Henderson doesn't get over fast enough to help Otis. And Brunell acts like, hey, was there ever a doubt?
Otis Smith has given up just 1 touchdown pass in regular season. That to Marcus Pollard of the Indianapolis Colts. But a lapse on the final play allows the Jaguars to get back in the game. NASDAQ Amex halftime report next. That's all coming up in just a moment.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
Hi, everybody. Jim Nantz with you on the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report. Welcome. And at halftime, what a stunning final play of the first half. Who said the Jags will be leading at halftime? I think they said the Jags will be going into the locker room feeling good, and they have to right now, Bill Cowher, after that touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, they may be if Chris Hudson doesn't make a poor decision on trying to lateral the football. I'll tell you what, game's not over yet, but that play right there was a big key play in the game.
Well, let's take one more look at the Chris Hudson miscue and a play that I'm sure that he'll remember for a long time because the coach won't let him forget about it. That's for certain.
I mean, you're in a situation, 10-0, you got the ball, you got the momentum. I understand. You know, you talk about good decisions Vinny Testaverde's making. Maybe the biggest play he makes in the first half right there is cutting off Chris Hudson.
Well, you're a lot tamer about that than when that actually happened. You should have heard what he was saying.
Because I'm coaching the Steelers, not Jacksonville right now.
Hey, but Brent, the play there to close out the first half gets the Jags right back into this.
Jim, inexcusable. I've never seen anything like that. You know, you can throw a Hail Mary right before the end of the half and have something fluky happen and bounce up. Jimmy Smith's going right down the sideline on a go route. The safety, Jerome Henderson, looking at Keenan McCardle. Nobody covers Jimmy Smith. They throw it right in there. That is impossible. You've got to have the safety, give him deep help. He's got to be able there to knock it down. Big, huge momentum swing for the Jags going into halftime. You think Bill Parcells is fired up? 17-0. I think this game would be over at halftime.
You know, time of possession, by the way, was 3-1 for the Jets in the first half, and that means Curtis Martin was running the football very effectively. Marcus, you've been saying it all week to us. No one would listen. You said this is going to be Martin's game today. What's he doing here?
Well, this is why they paid him $36 million. He's doing a great job of running the ball downhill. When you're faced with a fast defense, Jim, run at them. They're too fast to go around the corner and stuff like that. Run at them. They're calling the right plays. He's making the right run so far.
He's got 20 carries for 84 yards in that first half. Michael, your thoughts?
Well, I think Jacksonville's attacking the Jets defense exactly the way. You got to spread them out, but they've only had the ball 8 minutes. If they can control the ball a little bit longer, I think they can move it down. And I agree with Coach Cowher. This game's not over yet.
All right, let's talk about some adjustments here at halftime. If you're in that Jacksonville locker room, what are you telling them?
Right now, you're fine on offense. They need more possessions. I mean, you talk about third down. The problem they're having right now, they're not stopping the Jets. The Jets, 7-9 on third down. Get the ball back to Mark. Keep Fred Taylor in the game. Keep this clean close in the fourth quarter. Inexperience right now, maybe on the side of Jacksonville.
Coach, the Jags are still going to have to stop that run with Curtis Martin. They're going to be bringing their safeties up in the second half. That's going to play right into the Jets' hand, the play action. Watch for Johnson and Corbett getting that play action pass. Vinny throwing it long to the post. Something big's going to happen in the second half.
Hey, on another note, there are some stories brewing out of Kansas City right now involving Chiefs head coach Marty Schottenheimer. And Marcus, what are you hearing right now?
Well, my sources in Kansas City have revealed that Marty Schottenheimer will resign on Monday. But I called Marty the night and talked to him, and he said that, listen, I'm not resigning. I will be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
So Marty told you he is staying.
Yes.
We're going to go inside the league, some more inside information with Michael Lombardi when we continue on the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report here on CBS in just a moment. All right, welcome back. Time to go inside the league here with Michael. Let's talk about the coaching carousel. We know there were 7 openings, the Magnificent 7, and 3 slots have been filled. Michael, let's run down the rest of the list and what you're hearing right now.
Well, let's start in Baltimore, because right now I think what's going to happen in Baltimore is Brian Billick will emerge as the leading candidate. Art Modell likes to watch these playoff games and see what good coaches. Brian Billick, Chris Palmer certainly going to catch his eye. Going to Chicago, Dave McGinnis, the defensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals, a former Dave Wannstedt assistant there in Chicago, well liked by McCaskey. Sherman Lewis had a very good interview. I think those 2 guys will be the leading candidates. Cleveland, a little bit uncertain. Billick had a second interview with Dwight Clark this week. Gary Kubiak, don't feel he's strong enough for the job. They may keep searching. Green Bay, feel it's Ray Rhodes' job, may happen this week. Ray Rhodes, obviously a former Packer assistant. Philadelphia, Andy Reid. 95% sure that deal is going to get done. Andy Reid's in Philadelphia right now. They're talking about it, trying to finalize some things. He's even shopping for some homes, so I look for that to happen this weekend.
So you got Ray Rhodes there in Green Bay. Gary Kubiak now. This is a very, very highly thought of coordinator. What do you mean not strong enough there?
Well, I think in his interview he didn't express the opinions of how he was going to set up the organization the way Carmen Policy and Dwight Clark felt he would. Thought he was a little bit weak. Gary Kubiak knows he's going to become a head coach at some point in the NFL. He's just going to wait his turn. It might be Houston if the expansion thing happens. for him.
All right. Coach Holmgren, of course, in Seattle. What about his staff? What are you hearing there?
Well, most of the staff will join him. Andy Reid, if he doesn't get the Philadelphia Eagle job, won't go with him. He'll have to stay in Green Bay because the Packers will designate him. But all the other members of his staff, including Sherman Lewis, if he doesn't get a job, will be welcome to join Mike in Seattle.
49er season closes down yesterday, but there's some news on the way for San Francisco, huh?
Yeah, Larry Thurkill, the interim president, he resigned yesterday. He's not going to come back. Bill Walsh will be named president of the organization. Bring him back in, stabilize. Steve Mariucci just has to sign his name on a contract, and he'll finalize that deal. I look for Vinny Serrato, the director of player personnel, to not be with the organization once Bill Walsh comes back in.
All right, Michael. Lastly, who's buying the Washington Redskins?
Well, because we don't have enough money, but the Howard Milstein Group seems to be the leading candidate. Talk to people in the league office. They tell me that'll happen. Now, for Norv Turner, he can keep his job because it's going to take about 60 to 90 days before the league can determine whether the Milstein Group is actually going to own the Redskins.
All right, thank you, Michael. And a quick reminder to stay with us for the post-game show following this Jags-Jets game. We'll have a complete wrap-up from the Meadowlands, plus a look ahead at the NFC Divisional matchup between Arizona and Minnesota, and Broncos quarterback John Elway, who'll play the winner of this game. He will be talking with us live. That's all coming up on the post-game. Thanks, in the meantime, for watching the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report. We'll send you back out to Vern and Randy at the Meadowlands for the second half, right after this word from your local station. One more look at the stunning play that closed the first half.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
And stunned by the final play of the first half, the Jets still lead it by only 10 now, 17-7. Part of the festivities here in the playoff game at the Meadowlands occurred this morning. The finals of the punt, pass, and kick competition were held. Over 2 million boys and girls ages 8 through 15 took part in this year's NFL punt, pass, and kick program throughout the United States. They did so in their local communities or through their physical education classes in school. We had 32 participants in 8 divisions who excelled in each of the previous 3 rounds of competition to advance to this year's final. And we will announce the winners of the 1998-99 punt, pass, and kick between the 3rd and 4th quarters this afternoon.
They're going over the edge stadium.
Vern Lundquist along with Randy Cross. I rather expect those kids were part of the group that was stunned by what happened here at the end of the first half.
Just incredible. You physically dominate a football game and then let a Jacksonville team back in, you know, with a long play like that, 17-7. And Bill Cowher at halftime was absolutely right. You tell that offense, all you need is more possessions. If you got that kind of fire and you got a Fred Taylor, you can make things happen. I mean, I really like the idea of Jacksonville just stuffing them a little better on defense and making this a football game.
Well, let's take a look statistically at how it broke down in the first half. 17-7 rushing yards, almost minimal for Jacksonville. Fred Taylor with the majority of those 26. Curtis Martin had a huge first half with 84 yards. But Keyshawn Johnson part of the story as well. A touchdown on the ground and one in the air. Reggie Barlow, one of 2 deep men. He's joined by Tavian Banks. Here's John Hall's kickoff. This is Tavian Banks, 4th round pick. The rookie is out across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Well, we mentioned the power game of the New York Jets led by Curtis Martin, but Keyshawn Johnson had a big part in the lead.
He really has been, and he's such a great all-around weapon for Vinny Testaverde on offense, whether it's taking advantage of his size when you're throwing him a quick slant at the goal line or letting him run a really well-timed and well-set-up reverse for a touchdown. But end of the game, or end of the half, I mean, I just can't believe that this actually happened. I see it again, and I'm stunned that you don't have somebody deeper than anybody else.
Fred Taylor spins out to the 21-yard line. And we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Vern, well, Tom Coughlin told me at halftime that Chris Hudson's fumble was the, quote, stupidest play in football. He said, we've got to stop the Jets sometime, and that touchdown you're talking about just before halftime may be a momentum builder for the Jags. And Bill Parcells agreed. He told me his team lost concentration on that play and that the first 5 minutes of the second half will be telling with Jacksonville having the ball. Guys?
Thanks, Michelle. 2nd and 11, Jacksonville. Brunell will throw. Little slant pattern, Jimmy Smith, and he's got a first down out to the 40-yard line. 19-yard gain.
Hey, the most glaring mistakes Jacksonville's made have been mental, and their biggest plays have been physical. The long bomb to Jimmy Smith, and then this one right here working against Ray Mickens against that zone defense. Settles down right in that slot and then heads straight up the field. You hear that overused term, north and south running? He was headed north.
Mickens favoring a knee. Aaron Glenn is on, and he's got a bad ankle. Here's the handoff to Taylor. Out to the left side near the 43-yard line. Pepper Johnson, number 52, makes the tackle.
The key really to me at the early part of this second half, like Bill Parcells talked about, that the first 5 minutes being key, is Jacksonville has to prove to the Jets that they can physically stay with them. They can physically impose a little bit of hurt on a Jets defense.
2nd and 7. Taylor again. This time he comes right. Out near the 50. He stopped just short of the 50 by Mo Lewis, number 57. And another little disagreement breaks out. Damon Jones and Victor Green.
Vern, the officials are being extremely lenient with these guys throwing punches. It's not like it's people grabbing jerseys. We're talking about some full-on hand shots to the face.
Victor Green from Akron, leading tackler the last 2 or 3 years. Numbers of his tackles have gone down this year.
Here's your opportunity to prove that you can physically stay with this defense.
Split twin receivers to the left side. Brunell with a play fake. Pressure coming from Anthony Pleasant. He goes deep, and it's picked off by Colin Brown. Brown has an escort. It looked for a moment like McCardell was open.
He was wide open. That ball floated again, going in the same direction Brunell threw the earlier touchdown. This ball gets in the air and it hangs. Jacksonville was in a situation where they needed ugly and power. They gave you cutesy. They paid for it. I don't like that at all.
Private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
17-7 Jets. They get a big interception from Corwin Brown. That's his 2nd of the season. First ever in the playoffs, of course. And here's Vinny Testaverde. Pumps once, then goes down the middle for Brady. Nope. Popped by Chris Hudson, number 37.
And that's how dangerous Vinny's really gotten as a quarterback for the Jets, is if you're not going to put much pressure on him, you're going to let him stand back there. He'll drop it where it needs to be dropped. And he drops this to Kyle Brady. It goes through his hands. Part of the penalty, Mr. Hudson applies the penalty.
Speaking of drops, that's 2 for Brady. Hey, 2nd down and 10.
It's 1 drop. The other one was an awful tough adjustment.
Okay, all right. Okay. Here's Testaverde. Here's Curtis Martin. There's O'Dwyer leading the way inside the 25. A gain of 16. Beasley and Thomas for the tackle.
Talked about Jacksonville getting a chance to physically send a message. Kevin Mawai, Matt O'Dwyer, Todd Berger, they get a chance to send their message. Mawai gets a block, O'Dwyer gets a block, Berger pumps into Martin, then he gets a block. They're trying to send a message now to Jacksonville that it might be another half, but we're going to come at you exactly the same way.
First down just inside the 25. Byers and Martin in the backfield and Levant in motion. Play fake for Testaverde. Deep in the right corner, and that one's thrown away. Byers flying down. Eric Curry had pressure on Vinny Testaverde.
You can tell a playoff game, the sideline's a dangerous place to be. Cameras and everybody else bumping into Keith Byers as he ran through the sideline there. And you don't see teams do this type of thing with a player like Keith Byers very often. Going deep in that opportunity was a nice play call, took their shot, and he almost took out a couple camera people.
And the other side of the field, Joel Smingy limping off the field, number 99. And Lemanzer Williams has taken his place. Second and 10. Alex Van Dyke is in the lineup. He and Diedrich Ward, go wide to the right. And Testaverde operates from the gun. Here comes the blitz. He gets good protection. Johnson got it. Down at the 1-yard line. Beautiful pass from Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, this is almost like a New Year's Eve pass. You know, when they pull the string on that big bag of balloons and they drop right out of the sky? Right about now, Vinny's pulling that string, and it's dropping perfectly in to Keyshawn Johnson. Poise and confidence has been Vinny's trademark all year long. Takes a lot of confidence to drop one in like this. Confidence in yourself and confidence in a receiver with a lot of ability.
First and goal. Brady leads the way. Play fake. Testaverde flushed out. Run or pass. Run. Out of bounds. About 6 inches short of the touchdown.
Well, remember Bill Parcells talking about Vinny. When you run and it's not a designed run, go ahead, or a designed pass, go ahead and just run. Don't try to make something happen. Jacksonville's defense puts the pressure on him. Vinny thinks about throwing, but now he's just going to run it. Watch the ball and where it is in relation to the goal line. See it in his right hand. If that ball was in his left hand, like yesterday, Jamal Anderson, as he was going to the end zone, he switched to the right hand and reached over. Vinny had it in the other hand, and the ball was out of bounds.
Myers to the right. There's the toss to Martin. Down before he crossed the plane. It'll be third down.
Kind of looked like a skid and reach by Curtis Martin. Knees down, skid, reach. Very nice call by our officials. That knee was down before the reach post skid. Look at the knee, look at the ball. Knee, ball, excellent call.
No one mistaken Curtis Martin's head for the football, as happened here with Seattle and the Jets. They'll try it again. Touchdown!
Remember I talked about earlier, Vern, about, getting cued at the wrong time. Well, back-to-back football plays, Bill Parcells' teams gets ugly. Lets the big guys up front make a hole. First one, Curtis Martin couldn't get there, and McManus, 55, didn't hit Curtis Martin until he was about half a yard in the end zone.
John Hull on for the extra point. Bill Parcells told Michelle Tafoya the first 5 minutes would be significant in this game. Corwin Brown gets the interception. Martin gets the touchdown. The Jets up by 17.
Do you ask more from a truck?
On CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. GMC Envoy, do one thing, do it well. And by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
That's Ernie on the top, Frank on the bottom. They are brothers. They are firefighters in New York City. And they've been leading cheers here for the Jets for the last 14 years. Never with more emotion than today. Reggie Barlow. Reggie Barlow! No flags in the foot race. Marcus Coleman chases. Barlow has great speed, but Coleman knocks him out of bounds. 88 yards, but no touchdown.
Bill Parcells has to think Tom Coughlin's football team is the thing that wouldn't leave. Just about the time you figure you got their tails stuffed out the front door, they try to make something happen, and they get back in the front door. Reggie Barlow kind of fakes that throwback, got some good blocking, but here it's just nothing but blaze and speed. And if you're a Jet special teams player, you got some explaining to do.
McCardell breaks to the left. Jimmy Smith comes to the right. Backs in the eye. Brunel for Mitchell, overthrown. Mickens back on the field, went back to retrieve it.
All right, we talked about having some explaining to do if you're a Jets special teams player. Who do you think you have to explain to first? That's Mike Sweatman, the special teams coach of the New York Jets.
2nd and goal. And off Fred Taylor. Stuffed, got one. Jason Ferguson, number 72, with the tackle.
Remember I said earlier, Vern, about not making a negative out of something that's positive? Right now the Jets defense has seen a negative. The negative's a long kickoff return. They're trying to make that into a positive right here by playing aggressive defense and keeping Jacksonville out of the end zone.
Mitchell and McCardell split to the left. Jimmy Smith to the right. Out of the shotgun, here's Brunell rolling to his left. Good coverage, fires deep in the end zone, tipped by Victor Green, number 21.
Tom Coughlin's going to go for it. And he's seen a Bill Belichick defense, and on that last play, stretched and did an excellent job of staying in front of every receiver for the Jaguars.
What do you think? A field goal, you're down 14 with more than a quarter and a half to play. Do you like this call?
From a confidence standpoint, if I'm a player, I want my coach to go for a touchdown here. Get us in this game.
Brunell, little pressure, fires it. Caught, touchdown! Keenan McCardell, number 87, on 4th down. Now here's a small irony. In 1992, when Bill Belichick was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, he cut McCardell 3 separate times.
Well, that was a great call by Tom Coughlin, risking everything in a game he needed to get back in. Mickens is tight. McCardell catches it, and he can't be pushed out by Henderson before he's got the ball, and he's across the goal line.
Hollis for the extra point. Barker will hold. Keenan McCardell from Mark Brunell.
We needed some fire. That's Jaguar fire.
Leon Searcy getting a little rub down on the Jacksonville sideline. Reggie Barlow's 88-yard kickoff return helps set up the touchdown. It comes on 4th down. Brunell, McCardell.
I really like that call, though, Vern. I mean, sometimes is that conventional wisdom? Heck no, but you got to go with your gut. There was no hesitation by Tom Coughlin.
Mike Hollis will kick it deep. Dave Meggett, Kevin Williams await it. And this will be Meggett at the 13. Out to the 29-yard line. Eric Storrs, number 50, makes the tackle. 7:58 to go in the 3rd quarter. Keenan McCardell makes the grab.
CBS is sponsored by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers, and by the American General Financial Group. Live the life you imagine.
Giant Stadium aglow in the midwinter sunshine. These overhead shots being brought to you, provided by Southwest Airlines. First down, 3 wide receivers in for Vinny Testaverde and the Jets. From the 30, they lead by 10. Testaverde fires it, caught by Crevette out to the 45-yard line. In front of Kevin Hardy, and a quick strike. Number 16 to number 80 for a gain of 16.
Just watching this drive that just happened before by the New York Jets, followed up by a play like this by Wayne Crevette. I'm starting to think of a boxer that has nothing to do but put his hands in front of his face because he's not sure where the punches are coming from, and the Jags defense have got their gloves in front of their face, and the Jets are hitting them at will.
16-yard gain in the first down out to the 46. Brady with the lead block. Curtis Martin out to the 48-yard line. Coming in just 3 days on CBS, Dan Rather, Bob Simon, Vicky Mabry, and Charlie Rose will bring you 60 Minutes 2. The the most talked about new show of the year, premiering Wednesday on CBS, America's most watched network.
And Vern, we've saw Tom Coughlin go for it on that fourth down, get a touchdown to get his team back in the game. And Bill Parcells, being the Bill Parcells everyone's come to know in this situation, is going to jam this ball in the Jaguars defense's face to try to put them back out of the game.
On your left, you see the CBS first down line. Here's Martin from Testaverde. Nice block from a wide, but we may have a hole. This one could be coming back. Donovan Darius trails Martin and makes the tackle.
Anytime a defender goes down with what you have to refer to as kind of a suspicious twisting motion, it's usually followed by a flag.
Holding, number 70, offense. 5 yards, 10 yards. Second down.
Option C.
Penalty on Matt O'Dwyer. Matt O'Dwyer right there. Got the right arm around the shoulder pads. The body starts going down and twisting like that. Official standing on the sidelines. I've got a great sight line on that.
Matt O'Dwyer, part of a 5-man front that has started every game this year. In the last 5 games, this Jet offensive line allowed 1 sack. That's in regular season. Testaverde back. Finds Martin again. Out to the 50 and down. That'll set up a third down as Eddie Mason, number 53, gets out to make the stop.
Good anticipation by Charlie Weiss upstairs in this half so far for the New York Jets, in that he's thinking about what Dick Jauron is wanting to do against his offense. Are they going to attack me? Good. If they're going to attack me, I'm going to have Vinny just flick out the little short passes, the little screens, to take a little bit of sting off the defense.
3rd and 5. 24-14. The Jets seem to have this game put away when they were up 17-0. But Jacksonville scored on the final play of the half, a 52-yard toss. Here's Testaverde. There's Dedrick Ward and Dave Thomas. And another third down conversion, this time 18 yards.
What'd you say earlier about Dedrick Ward? You worry about Keyshawn. You worry about Wayne Corbett. And just about the time you concentrate on just those 2 guys, all year long, Dedrick Ward has come in and made big, important plays. And you saw that pad that Thomas was giving Dedrick Ward. That's respect to the speed. But Dedrick Ward is developing into a receiver that's not just a fast guy, but also able to go inside over the middle and make those kind of catches.
Second year out of Northern Iowa. First downs, amazing. Byers in motion. Play action. Testaverde. Curtis Martin. At the 21.
Now you see a first down that out of whack, about 23-8 now if this is a first down for Curtis Martin and the Jets. I mean, that's a tail beating of biblical proportions when you're talking about a playoff game. That's dominance, and that usually means the team with the 23 is a very physical, well-tuned machine.
Now the stretch of the chain. Well, recall that back over one stretch in the second quarter, the Jets had 20 consecutive offensive plays, first down. That string interrupted when they had a Curtis Martin fumble picked up by Chris Hudson, who returned it, then tried to lateral to Eric Curry. Look at this, almost 29 minutes.
All those stats you've seen on the screen, folks, normally in a normal football game says 35-0, 38-3, kind of like that game yesterday in Denver. But it's been mental lapses on both sides of the ball that have kept this score where it is at 24-14.
Ringo! Byers in motion, double tight end set. Blitz coming, Testaverde reads it, flag is down, and Brady is as well. The flag is back at the line of scrimmage. Darius makes the contact on Brady. If the play stands, it's a 17-yard gain.
It was a great job of blitz pickup. The Jaguars are trying to cheat.
Offside defense, number 51 in the neutral zone of the defense. The penalty is declined. First down.
Kevin Hardy, the linebacker, was trying to cheat up on the blitz. Trying to get that extra little step on Vinny Testaverde. Here's Hardy. See the little cheat? Even with the cheat, he couldn't get there in time to prevent Vinny from getting this off. But look at Donovan Darius lay that lick on Kyle Brady. That's mutual agony. That didn't feel good for either guy.
Brady with the smelling salts on the Jet bench.
He just told the trainer to tell Coach Paterno I'm fine.
Played a few years in State College. Time has been called. Welcome back to the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey, the divisional playoffs on CBS. We have just 3 minutes remaining, third quarter. And Kyle Brady during the timeout back on the field. Donovan Darius, who delivered the blow that sent him to the Jet sideline, also remains on the field. First and goal, Jets up by 10. Inside give, Curtis Martin stopped at the 1.
What a great answering drive by the New York Jets. Tom Coughlin's football team put those points on the board, but Bill Parcells has come out, and whether they've attacked or whether they've sat back, Vinny Testaverde has made this Jags defense stay on its heels. Even the time they blitz, when Kevin Hardy's coming, they lowered their hands to take a swing. Just about that time, Vinny dropped one in there to Brady.
Second and goal just inside the 2. Dick Geron, defensive coordinator of the Jaguars. Here's that toss play to Martin. Byers tries to help. That's touchdown.
Not only are you seeing a scene of real physical domination at time up front for the offensive line, you're also seeing guys like Jumbo Elliott and especially Kevin Mawai, the center. Look at Mawai, 68, pull out. That's a 310-pound center pulling out in front of a running back and meeting him in the end zone. They don't make many of those, folks, in case you were wondering.
John Hall. John Kidd's hold. Mawai leads the way for Curtis Martin's second touchdown of the ball game. This is a New York Jet team in the playoffs for the first time since '91. They started this season 0-2.
This is a play Terrell Davis and the Denver Broncos have worked to perfection, and the Jets have picked it up, put a wrinkle or two in there with a pulling center. And Curtis Martin, I talked about him bringing it. He hasn't stopped bringing it since the early brought.
Martin with 93 yards, 2 touchdowns now. And the New York Jets, winners of their last 6 in a row. And winners of the division title for the first time since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970.
You know, this is a tough situation for the Jaguars offense, too, Vern. As much as we keep talking about the Jets offense, mainly because Tom Coughlin's defense is on the field so much against them, the Jags offense has to almost re-stretch and re-warm up every time they leave the field because the Jets are on it for so long when they have the ball.
2:16 to go before the end of the third. Barlow returned one 88 yards last time out. Bobbles this one. And pays for it. Rob Holmberg, number 50.
When you're on a kickoff return, the last thing you want to do is stop. And if you're Rob Holmberg coming down on a kickoff, you'd love to see a guy just sort of just square up in the crosshairs and then stop. Thank you very much.
Martin gets a rest between Meggett and Byers. Here's the toss to Fred Taylor. And Taylor spurts out across the 25. That's a first down, Jacksonville. Ray Mickens gets there, but Taylor with his longest run today, a gain of 16.
And the best part about that is you saw Jamal Anderson yesterday for the Atlanta Falcons deliver a couple of straight arms and show his upper body strength. And we've talked about the lower body strength of Fred Taylor. Watch his straight arm on Corwin Brown. Bip. Little face massage, little shoulder pat, out of my way.
1st and 10. Mitchell in motion and Brunell back to throw. Finds the tight end out to the 37-yard line. Monday on CBS, Ray Romano and Kevin James team up to host CBS Tailgate Monday. It's a night of all new episodes and special surprises. So don't miss Cosby, King of Queens, Raymond and Becker, CBS Tailgate Monday. It's the only game in town on CBS, America's most watched network. Fred Taylor into the arms of Mo Lewis, number 57, who is Pro Bowl bound this year.
Hey, really, if you've followed the Jets at all or followed the NFL for long and don't know about Mo Lewis, he's one of the great stories, finally getting to go to a Pro Bowl and being recognized for how good this guy has played football over these years. Even the years they were suffering and playing poorly, Mo Lewis was the defensive highlight reel for the Jets.
CBS first down line just inside the 40. Brunell hands it off to Taylor, who heads left and is nailed. Brian Cox, number 51.
Well, there's another example of cute. Remember the one that was an interception earlier? That was an attempt at cute on a short yardage play, and there's another one on 3rd down, going to try to be cute and trying to be different and not being physical. But Bill Parcells is trying to get himself a timeout, thinks he's got the wrong defense on the field. He knows he's going to get the ball back. He's thinking about the clock. Talk about people never getting their heads out of the game. Bill wants it. Bill wants that timeout so he can get the ball back and keep the wind at his back.
Well, Bill Parcells got the timeout.
Well, it's a pretty good formula. You come there one year and, 4th year you go to the Super Bowl. He's got a team this good that at this rate will get a chance to play for the conference championship. He did a strong job last time in New York of building a football team and really bringing some strong tradition back to the New York Giants. But this is beyond his expectations, and I think even the most rabid Jet fans' expectations, what the Jets are doing this year.
Brian Barker on the punt, nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. Megan waves everyone away. 36-yard punt. Nothing on the return. Women's Basketball Classic presented by Honda. 2nd-ranked Tennessee goes into Connecticut to take on UConn. That's later today. As a matter of fact, it will follow the American General NFL postgame report. Tennessee and UConn later this afternoon.
Hey, you wondered why Bill Parcells called that timeout out there. You saw that kick into the wind, got stuffed by the wind, and then dropped and dribbled out of bounds. When you got it going with you, and you're in this stadium, and no one knows the winds here better than that guy right there, you take whatever advantage this place will give you.
Now there's the wind up aloft, but if you look at the top of the goalposts, the little dish rags are limp.
In this place, you need flags about every 10 feet as you go up to get a measure of the wind.
1st down and 10. There's the toss. Curtis Martin out to the 35-yard line. Darius makes the tackle, a gain of 7. Curtis Martin said he was going to rush for 100 yards today. Guess what? He's at an even 100. He's got a quarter to add to his total. That's the end of 3. 31-14 back at Giant Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. 31-14 as we start the 4th. Ladies and gentlemen, the following boys and girls are the national champions in each of their respective age divisions from this weekend's NFL Punt, Pass, and Kick National Finals competition. Presenting the awards, Gene Washington and Greg Bradshaw. We begin with our youngest competitors. The 8 and 9-year-old girls champion, Kristen Eibel, representing the Detroit Lions. The 8 and 9-year-old boys champion, Caleb Loddig, representing the Indianapolis Colts. The 10 and 11-year-old girls champion, Amanda Shattuck, representing the New England Patriots. The 10 and 11-year-old boys champion, Ryan Musser, representing the Philadelphia Eagles. The 12 and 13-year-old girls champion is Miranda Chandler, representing the Dallas Cowboys. The 12 and 13-year-old boys champion, Ryan Moore, representing the Tennessee Oilers. The 14 and 15-year-old girls champion, Adrienne Allo, representing the San Diego Chargers. And the 14 and 15-year-old boys champion, Matt Kappelman, representing the Jacksonville Jaguars. To learn more about the new National Competitive Youth Program, NFL Flag, as well as other NFL Play Football programs, please call 1-800-NFL-SNAP.
You know, Vern, that's one of the great things I think the NFL is doing, too, is really extending themselves to the kids. Because that's the future of this game right now, are kids just like you saw right there. That'll eventually turn into guys like Vinny and Yurko and Curtis Martin. You talked about the 100-yard game.
And then they'll age into guys like Randy Cross.
Yeah, it's very important. I know about that.
Second down, Curtis Martin, Donovan Darius. In the fourth quarter this season, the comparisons between the two quarterbacks, pretty stout.
Oh, they're number 1 and 2 in the AFC. But, you know, I'll tell you another little gem of a stat. You got a 100-yard rusher in this game. This year, there have been 144 100-yard rushers in the regular season.
And
when you had a 100-yard rusher, you won 75% of the football games.
3rd and 1 for the Jets, and they have the 100-yard rusher. That's Baxter. And they toss it to Martin. Well, now he's under 100 yards. Kevin Hardy with a tackle number 51.
Well, what goes along with that thing, with a 100-yard rusher, is physical dominance. And now that play is not a good example of physical dominance. That play right there is an excellent example of a good attacking defense on Bill Parcells' offense.
John Kidd, only the second punt today, mentioned that he is the 3rd punter the Jets have used. They had Nick Gallery to open the season. Parcells unhappy with him, cut him after the first game. Re-signed the veteran Brian Hansen, but then after week 8 in Kansas City, they released Hansen and signed John Kidd. Barlow driven down to the 36-yard line. Tackle made by John Hudson, the punt snapper. Time call. All in all, a very pleasant day in New Jersey in January. Temperature in the mid-20s, but very little wind. The aerial shots provided today by Southwest Airlines. Mark Brunell with the toss to Taylor, who comes to the outside. Little juke move on Victor Green, and Fred Taylor has by far his longest run of the day. A gain of 29 to the 35.
Well, in case you wondered about Fred Taylor, that maybe he can't exactly run on AstroTurf and run with a little cooler weather. I think some of his earlier runs already answered that question, but here you're going to see some good stuttering feet setting up Victor Green. And Victor Green, one of the surer tackles on this Jet football team, is lost first by Taylor, and then Green comes back and makes a tackle.
McCardell, top of the screen to the right. Jimmy Smith left and Mitchell in the slot. Smith in front of Chad Cascadden, number 53, gain of 6. Well, those of you who joined us late, this game seemingly put away by the Jets. They were up 17-0 and dominating. Final play of the first half. Jimmy Smith got loose behind Otis Smith, made a catch from Brunell for a touchdown. 17-7 at the half, although the Jets have re-established a sense of domination now. Here's Taylor weaving his way down to the 25-yard line.
Really, the way they've done this, I think, offensively to start this drive is absolutely perfect for Mark Brunell in this offense. There's no sense of panic. There may be a sense of urgency to the way Brunell's walking around and the way he treats himself and he treats his players in the huddle. But there's no panic to it. This is excellent. They're down by 17 points. You got 12 minutes left. You know your football team has already given up 14 points off turnovers. Don't get overexcited and cause another turnover. Keep your poise.
First down. At the 25. Well, a Jacksonville team that really kind of people forgot about in the last couple of weeks of the season. They were just thrashed by Minnesota 50-10. After losing to Tennessee, they did come back and beat Pittsburgh. Here's Brunell. And there's McCardell. Keenan McCardell, number 87. At the 17-yard line.
Well, the good job by Brunell is what he's doing here is he's moving the ball down, saying, okay, you're not going to let my guys get behind you. I'll run inside. I'll take the holes in the zone. Being very, very patient and not forcing balls.
2nd and 1. Taylor behind Shelton's block. And that's a first down. Jacksonville at the 14-yard line. Jason Ferguson with the tackle, number 72.
You know, Mark Brunell's a quarterback that comes into the year with a fairly good rating, but look at Brunell today. The rating 63.9. Jet average 64.7. Second lowest for a defense in the NFL. The blitzes, the packages, the fronts challenge a lot of people besides Mark Brunell.
1st and 10, Jaguars. And a flag prior to the snap. Bring this one back. Chad Cascadden was back to keep company with.
Prior to the snap, false start, 87, offense, 5 yards, first down.
Keenan McCardell.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin's wide receiver. There's never an excuse for doing this as a wide receiver. The twitch and quiver. You saw it wasn't really Keenan McCardell. It was Jimmy Smith that took the quick step there before the snap of the ball. Watch the ball. Ignore the crowd. When that brown thing with the laces move, go ahead and run.
This has been a relatively error-free game. That's the 3rd penalty on Jacksonville. The Jets have been tagged twice. 1st and 15. Blitz coming from New York. Brunell fires it out. Tipped by Otis Smith. In front of Jimmy Smith, it was that combination that silenced this crowd at the end of the first half.
Oh, look at Otis Smith. His eyes probably tripled in size when he saw this coming. Look at the break on the ball. His hands are in perfect position to pick that off, and Jimmy Smith's hands sort of collide and prevent the interception. I think he was trying to catch it more than he was trying to knock it away, but Otis Smith got a nice jump on Brunell's pass.
2nd and 15. Barlow, wide right. Here comes the blitz up the middle. Brunell has to let it go early. And it is incomplete. Aaron Glenn, who's going back to the Pro Bowl, was back to cover Reggie Barlow.
Oh, and in Brunell's face was Brian Cox. And that attitude I told you about this, and that's really all over this Jet team. It's not just about the defense. It's that Brian Cox attack, the leadership and the attitude he's brought to the team. You can see in the offense, the defense, and the special teams.
Reggie Barlow back wide right against Aaron Glenn. 3rd and 15. Brunell in the end zone. Touchdown. Jimmy Smith, his 2nd of the day. That's for 19 yards.
Just fantastic execution and confidence by Mark Brunell. Otis Smith's been working against Jimmy Smith. Otis Smith had a play of 2 plays ago where he knocks the pass down. He could have intercepted it. Look at the bullet. A short throw. The receiver knows it's coming. The quarterback has sent the message, knows it's going to be behind the defensive back, and Otis Smith has no time to react.
Mike Hollis for the extra point. They did it again.
They're the thing that wouldn't leave. Just about the time you figured they're going away, they're back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by American Express. American Express helps you do more. IBM. Are you ready for e-business? And by Budweiser. Now is the perfect time to enjoy a fresh, cold Beechwood Age Budweiser.
Jimmy Smith, second touchdown catch. That's his 5th grab of the day. Saying hi to his dad, Jimmy Sr., and his mom, Etta. Jimmy Smith, whose own personal story is one of overcoming real heartbreak. Out for an entire season in '94 after he was cut by the Eagles. Here's Dave Meggett, and he's nailed as he gets to the 20-yard line. Tackle made by Damon Shelton. Time call, 9:48 remaining in regulation. Saturday here on CBS will begin with a regional coverage. Oklahoma, Cincinnati, or Florida against Auburn. Then we'll go national. Syracuse against Georgetown, and we'll wind it up with Indiana against Purdue. It all begins at 12 o'clock Eastern Time next Saturday on CBS Sports. 9:48 to go in regulation. The New York Jets. Vinny Testaverde, Keyshawn Johnson. Dion Figures, number 27, knocks Keyshawn Johnson out of bounds.
You know, Keyshawn's one of those guys that, yes, he talks a lot and he tells you what he's going to do and how well he's going to do it. But when he has a game like he has today, this is called backing it up. Whether it's this long pass, into the corner on another pass, taking that big hit from Donovan Darius, taking the reverse for a touchdown, or the one you just saw. Keyshawn is a weapon that every single defense that faces this offense has got a double team.
Over 100 yards on the 8 grabs today, 9:20 and the clock running. Quick setup by Testaverde, finds Keith Byers, and Byers can't complete the play. Aaron Beasley, number 21.
That's the last thing you really expect from a guy like Keith Byers, though. He's such a great receiver. As a running back, still listed as a running back, and the all-time receiving tight end, or all-time receiving running back catching passes. You don't expect a guy like that to drop an easy one in his hands.
Keith Byers now in his 13th season. Second down. Testaverde left side. Corbett spins away from Kevin Hardy and fumbles the ball. And the Jaguars have recovered. Parcells claims down by contact. There's Dave Thomas. Hardy with a hit.
Corbett was twisting and trying to reach out and get that first down. From my angle, looked like he was in the air as that ball was ripped out of his grasp. That's some opportunistic defense, and that's just the mistake Tom Coughlin and his offensive coaches were looking for. Another chance for Brunell to get out on the field. Sometimes extra effort and second effort can be used against you. First Hardy goes by him. Then Hardy knocks it out. Clearly a fumble, not down, recovered by Thomas.
Second Jet turnover. Jacksonville has 3. First down. Here's the toss to Fred Taylor. Comes left, and Taylor jammed up by an aggressive Jet defense led by Dwayne Gordon, number 54, and Mo Lewis, number 57.
Well, you see a running back stuttering like that. There's only one reason that happens. Onside's been stuffed, and he's looking backside for something to do. And onside was being played very well by Pleasant and everybody on that side. But Chad Cascadden was the backside linebacker, was right where he wanted to cut back, and he couldn't do it.
Under 8 to play. Brunell, blitz coming. Dwayne Gordon, and it's knocked in the air. Gordon coming on the blitz. Number 54 got a hand up.
This is going to leave Mark Brunell, another one of those third and long he was good at in the first half. It's all set up by Dwayne Gordon, a hesitation blitz. Brunell wants to run a screen. Was not expecting that late blitz by Gordon. Gordon's right in the passing lane.
Mark Brunell saying last night, third down defenses are the most complicated thing they'll face. 3rd and 9. Brunell, diving try from McCardell, incomplete. 8:12 to go.
Well, Jacksonville, no hesitation here. If you didn't hesitate on the 1-yard line, you're not going to hesitate on 4th down now. Brunell just didn't have enough elevation. He had plenty of gun and velocity. But Smith couldn't get McCardell couldn't get all the way down on it. Ball bounces before it got to him.
Barlow and McCardell are to the right. Jimmy Smith to the left. 4-man rush. Left side, contact at the 25 and the flag. This is Otis Smith and Jimmy Smith.
I think that's going to go against Jimmy Smith.
Maybe not, from Victor Green's reaction.
Defensive pass interference, number 45. First down.
Wow. Otis Smith looked to be stopping as the receiver was planning, and Jimmy Smith looked to run right through Bill Parcells' cornerback. Here's the matchup, plenty of room. Smith establishes position, starts moving towards the pass, and Smith runs right through him.
A 13-yard penalty, first down, 8:08 to go. Play fake, Brunell across the middle, wide open. Oh, mercy! Damon Jones dropped it.
You feel the momentum build. You get a break like that on a penalty. You go for the big play. It's there. It's perfect. And Damon Jones, the young tight end, is worried about running with the ball after he catches it. Forgets about part A, and he knows it.
2nd and 10. Brunell for Mitchell, who is popped at the 23-yard line by Brian Cox. And the clock under 8 now, 7:50 remaining.
You see Mark Brunell in the second half throw a lot of passes out in the flat areas, on the outside. Something that Doug Flutie had success against this Jets defense in the second meeting. It's one of Flutie's strengths is the arm speed and velocity on the outside passes, and Brunell's done it very well, especially on this drive.
3rd and 4. Good protection for Brunell. Now he scrambles. Keep in mind that high ankle sprain. And he is caught and dropped at the 19-yard line, nowhere near the mobility one has expected from Mark Brunell.
An excellent job by Ray Mickens. Mickens came up and just prevented Mark Brunell from getting that first down. Because watch Brian Cox and the defense collapse inside, setting up Mark Brunell's ability to move out. Now watch, here comes Mickens. Good heads-up play by Mickens. The Jags will go for a field goal.
Mike Hollis is the most accurate field goal kicker statistically in NFL history. Had 4 last week and knocks this one home on 4th down. 6 minutes and 38 seconds remain in regulation. It's a 7-point game.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by United Airlines, rising as a daily commitment to make flying more civilized. And by First Union, your guide to the financial world.
This full house of overwhelming Jet fans unable to celebrate.
The big play was that pass interference called on Otis Smith. Smith breaking on the ball. Jimmy Smith never even got close to going to any kind of a break to get to that pass. Otis Smith was trying to get to that pass and trying to intercept it. Smith ran right through it.
Here's Hollis's kick, and Megan comes up, grabs it at the 20-yard line. To the 30, and down to the 33. LeMander Williams, number 74, makes the tackle. 3 separate occasions, the New York Jets have had leads of 17 points. 17-0, 24-7, 31-14. Here we are with 6.5 to go, and Otis Smith wondering what must we do to put these guys away.
Well, I tell you that the key to putting this game away, 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. You look at those 5 guys up front. Bill Parcells has in his offensive line. You take this ball and you go away with it. You physically reestablish the dominance you had early in this game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars should never get this ball back if you take the proper running approach.
Elliott, Berger, Mawai, O'Dwyer, Fabini, the rookie, along with Kyle Brady, the tight end. Out to the 35-yard line. Kelvin Pritchett makes the tackle, and we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Vern, this was one of the posters hanging at the Jets facility this week. Wanted Jaguars reward, $32,500. That's the amount each Jet would get if they win this game. Parcells also put up a big photograph of a player leaving a stadium after losing a playoff game. The caption read, "One mistake at the wrong time can send you packing for the year." And he's told his players, you don't want to be the player who makes that mistake, guys.
Thanks, Michelle. 2nd and 9. Testaverde will throw. No, he won't. No, he will not. Eric Curry, number 75, who's getting his 2nd consecutive start, gets the sack.
Some good clutch defense by Jacksonville. First, they stuffed the run with Yurkovich and Pritchett. Now, Curry, another play, twisting and turning to get to Vinny Testaverde. This guy's made a lot of big plays for the Jaguars defense so far today, and this defense is one more play away from stopping this Jets offense and getting Brunell and the offense the ball back.
3rd and 14 from the 30. Meggett is in. So also is Dedrick Ward. He comes to the right. Johnson and Corbett to the left. That's Fred Baxter in motion. Testaverde steps up and fires it across the middle. Johnson at the 50 has the first down. Donovan Darius with the tackle. A huge conversion from one-time first draft choice in the league to another.
Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson came in this game with more first down catches than any other receiver tandem in the league. Keyshawn's had a huge game today. And who do you go to when you really absolutely need that first to keep the clock moving and the other offense off the field? Then you're to your biggest and best target at wide receiver, Keyshawn Johnson.
9 catches, 121 yards. First down and 10. 4:33 to go. Flags. Shot clock at 0.
Prior to the snap, delay of the game, offense, 5 yards. First down.
It's very fitting what Michelle said about Bill Parcells is putting that picture up there. Those were New England Patriot players on the wall, and they were leaving Foxborough after having lost to the Jaguars last week. And one mistake can send you packing at the wrong time. And Bill's seen his team make a couple suitcases full of mistakes, and Tom Coughlin's football team on the other side has made a luggage compartment full of mistakes if you're packing bags. But right now, Coughlin's team is only 1 touchdown down.
1st and 15 from the 45. Toss to Martin. Jumbo Elliott leading the way. Martin cuts back. Gets a fine block from Dedrick Ward. And motors inside the 45. A gain of 14 before Hardy got him.
Jacksonville does a nice job onside of defending this play. And I will say onside initially. Here's onside. Jumbo's going to pull. The defense reacts. But watch the backside gap and the full down develop for Curtis Martin in the cutback. It's stuffed onside. And Curtis Martin feels a lack of unfriendly color in the way of jerseys behind him. Fabulous job of cutting back in a critical situation for the Jets offense.
Clock still runs, 3:40 to go. Testaverde, Curtis Martin. First down, Jets at the 35. Bryce Pop with the tackle. Coming up on the American General postgame show, back across the Hudson, Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, Mike Lombardi, and Bill Cowher. John Elway and the Broncos await the winner of this game in Denver next Sunday. He'll be live.
Well, whoever wins this game has got some serious screws to tighten down before you face a team like the Broncos. You make these kind of mistakes against Denver, and you'll be lucky if they only score 38 on you.
Nice defensive play by Eddie Mason, number 53, and the Jaguars will use one of their timeouts. And the clock stopped with 2 minutes and 44 seconds remaining. Bill Parcells, in his second year, would love more than anything to become the first coach in history to take 3 teams to the Super Bowl. Of course, he won 2 titles with the Giants. He got the Patriots into the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and an amazing turnaround for this team, but they can't put Jacksonville away.
A couple of times I've referred to Jacksonville as the thing that wouldn't leave. And Tom Coughlin's team has had injuries. Tom Coughlin's team, though, has a lot of experience, and no one has ever doubted their heart. And they have shown you a huge heart today. Down by 17, make it back to 10. Down by 17. They keep coming back. It's a testament to what Tom Coughlin has built in Jacksonville, as much as it is their ability to take advantage of the mistakes that Vinny and the Jets have made.
Well, 2:44 remaining in this one. The winner goes into Denver. That game a week from today at 4 o'clock Eastern time. 2nd down and 10. Reverse Johnson. Mawai's out in front. So's O'Dwyer. Yard gain.
The exact same execution of the play by Keyshawn Johnson and the New York Jets. Hard onside reaction by the defense. Onside, you've got O'Dwyer, you've got Mawai, and you've got Keyshawn on the sideline saying, I shouldn't have gone out of bounds and stopped the clock. Look at O'Dwyer and Mawai. You get a block downfield by Corbett. And now's when you fall to the ground or cut inside. You don't go out of bounds and stop the clock.
Second reverse for the day, 28 yards. He got a touchdown from 10 out, and time out is called by the New York Jets. That's their last, and it comes with 2:37 to go. Jamal Anderson, of course, yesterday in the Atlanta victory stepped out of bounds with 58 seconds to go, and Bill Parcells probably thinking about Keyshawn Johnson, much the same as Dan Reeves was thinking about Jamal at the end of that game.
You know, going through Bill Parcells' mind right now is somehow, some way, get this clock down to 0-0 so he doesn't have to look at this Jaguars offense on the field.
Tonight on CBS, he's got to be the world's most dishonest TV reporter. At least he was until he got caught and went to jail. Meet him tonight on 60 Minutes. That's followed by Touched by an Angel. Then it's the 25th Annual People's Choice Awards, an all-star celebration hosted by Ray Romano with live performances by Garth Brooks, Elton John, and Leanne Rimes. That's tonight on CBS.
Another nice drive answering by the New York Jets. Not the physical kind. They've done it with different types of plays. But so far in this game, the Jets have 426 yards offense and 29 first downs to go along with Vinny's stats.
Working the clock a little more with Curtis Martin down to the 14-yard line. Joel Smengi makes the tackle. Jacksonville uses the second of its 3 timeouts. Winner of this one goes into Mile High. And they will take on the Denver Broncos, convincing victors yesterday over Miami. Denver in defense of its first World Championship at home with the AFC Championship game next Sunday afternoon at 4. It begins with the NFL Today at 3:30 Eastern Time. We are 2 days shy of the 30-year anniversary of the most shocking Super Bowl victory, I think, ever. Joe Namath guaranteeing victory in Super Bowl III, and the New York Jets winning it over the Colts 16-7. That was January 12th, 1969. And this young team, remember this one?
This was a football team, another team that wouldn't go away against a favored team. They decided to come out and be physical and not believe the hype. Randy Beverly making that pick in the end zone. He and Johnny Sample had career days against the Colts that day.
Keith Byers in motion. Testaverde will throw it for Byers. Intercepted in the end zone. Donovan Darius.
He's going to be marked out at about the 6-inch line that he crossed the goal line. The far official was coming in, pointing at the ground. Tom Coughlin trying to make the point that he was down.
Coughlin wants the touchback.
And 1 yard line.
Another case of a young player, Donovan Darius.
The man did come out of the end zone.
Donovan Darius taking advantage of Vinny Testaverde, getting that pressure on the outside right there. Puts the ball up for grabs. Darius would have done well just to stay right where he was. There was nowhere to go. The ball comes out, and then he's down. Good pressure up front on Vinny Testaverde. Supplied by Bryce Pop, but Darius should have never come out of there.
Jacksonville has 1 timeout remaining. There's a hit. Fumble. Incomplete pass. Incomplete pass. No control. Jimmy Smith, Otis Smith.
This is way, way more exciting than Bill Parcells had planned as things were going earlier. Jimmy Smith, possession, seems to be bobbling that as he's being hit. It's bouncing around. He does not have possession. He does not have the second foot on the ground. That's a good call.
Second down. Here's Brunell. Retreats to the end of the end zone and scrambles. Chased by Cascadden. Runs out of bounds with 2:11 left in the clock.
This would go straight to the top, I'm sure, of Mark Brunell's list, who's to add to that 11 career fourth quarter comebacks. Bill Belichick trying to change things up for Bill Parcells' defense.
3rd and 3. Incomplete. Intended for McCardell. There's a flag. Ray Mickens defending a flag thrown from near midfield. Offensive.
Calls a push-off on Tom Coughlin's receiver. We'll find out which one. It didn't happen on the outside. Must have been inside. There's Mickens and McCardell entwined.
Ooh, I like that.
Offensive pass interference, number 87. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
The official from the deep middle calling Tom Coughlin's receiver, McCardell, for grabbing the arm of the receiver in the slot right there. 87 McCardell working against Otis Smith. Working against Mickens. I think that's a bad call.
4th and 3. Brunell into the end zone, being chased, escapes the tackle, heaves it out, caught by McCardell. No.
Brunell does everything physically possible to avoid a sack, to avoid a safety, to keep his team alive. McCardell cannot come down.
On fourth down, Mark Brunell in the end zone being chased by James Ferrier.
This is how close the Jaguars came for this drive to continue. The ball, the hands, the feet are in, but the hands won't cooperate.
The New York Jets, 159 away from the AFC Championship game. Curtis Martin will work on the clock. Jacksonville uses its final timeout.
This has been a game that's been about heart and mistakes for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made the mistakes and got themselves in the hole, but they had the heart to keep coming back, keep fighting from those deficits. And Bill Parcells' Jets at times were physically dominant and as sharp as you've seen them in this 1998-99 season, but also made some pretty critical errors to enable the Jacksonville Jaguars to do what they've done.
Final crowd count has just been announced, Randy. The largest gathering ever in this stadium. More than 78,000 have jammed in here. They've been waiting to explode for the better part of 3 quarters. Coming up on the American General postgame show, we'll go back across the Hudson. Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, Mike Lombardi, and Pittsburgh coach Bill Cowher. John Elway will appear live and a preview of the Arizona-Minnesota game that's coming up on the final one of this quartet. Matt O'Dwyer jumps offside.
Prior to the snap, false start, 7-0. 7-0. 5 yards. Second down.
Hoping to apply a period to the paragraph, and they got a comma instead. O'Dwyer with the penalty. The executive producer of CBS Sports, Terry Ewert. Today's game produced by Lance Barrow and directed by Mike Arnold. The coordinating director of the NFL on CBS is Larry Cavallina. The associate directors of today's game, Andy Goldberg and Brian Lilly. The broadcast associates, Tom Coppola, Peter Smith, and Rick Angelo. Our statisticians, Dave Clancy and Chuck Gardner. And our spotter, Chris Helen. Curtis Martin to the 10-yard line. Kevin Hardy with the tackle.
You gotta feel, Vern, you gotta feel good for these Jet fans. Look at that, 30 years, but worth the wait. We talked about that great game by Joe Namath almost 30 years ago down there in Miami, and how many years did these fans say and hear that same old Jets term? And Bill Parcells has come in here and made this team into a disciplined force.
Third down. Jacksonville can't stop the clock. Curtis Martin, and it will be fourth down. NFL Today produced by Eric Mann and directed by Bob Matina. We'll go back to our broadcast center in less than 50 seconds. Well, Tom Coughlin, Bill Parcells were associates here. Bill Parcells, chatting with us in his office Friday, said, here's the tough thing about coaching against my friend. I know this, at the end of the game, one of us will have one more game at least for which we can prepare. The other one is going to think about the off-season program, the mini camps, the training, just to get back to this spot. Here's John Hall's field goal. There's the period to the paragraph.
Saw that look on Bill Parcells' face. He knows the work he's got ahead of him going against the Denver Broncos. This Jet team, take a look at Glenn Foley there celebrating, but this Jet team will celebrate rather gingerly tonight. Tom Coughlin's reaction. Did we get it? And knowing that he's the one that has the mini camps in the preseason and next year's regular season look forward to try to get back to this spot. Curtis Martin today, though, Vern, was the difference. What a fabulous job of running obsessed behind a powerful offensive line for this Jets offense.
$124 yards, 36 carries, 2 touchdowns.
You also can't ignore what Keyshawn Johnson did. I mean, Bill Parcells' offense knew they would have to bring the whole package against the Jacksonville Jaguars because they wouldn't die easy. They gave an awful lot of that package.
1995, this Jets team won 3 and lost 13. In 96, they won 1 and lost 15.
It's a live ball.
And it's recovered by Jacksonville at the 40 with 20 seconds to go. They hired Bill Parcells to come in 2 years ago. The team went 9-7 last year. They had a stretch in the middle of this season during which Parcells challenged the Jets and said this is going to give us an idea of how good we can be. During that 6-game stretch, the Jets won 5 and lost 1. And the loss, shockingly, was to Indianapolis. But they came back and won their last 6. And they're going to the AFC Championship game.
If you're a Jet, you can enjoy this win. It's a playoff win, and it's big. You won ugly. There's plenty of stuff to improve by next week. That late game in Denver.
Brunell, deep, right side, intercepted.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Beg your pardon. Thought it was. Keyshawn grabbed it.
Keyshawn Johnson not only does he contribute with reverses on the runs and passes. Who better to put back there? Remember the end of the first half? Deeper than the deepest. And if you're going deeper than the deepest, put bigger than most and better hands than everybody and let Keyshawn do it.
And as he got up, he was heard to whisper, "Just throw me the damn ball." 1 touchdown rushing, 1 touchdown receiving, and an interception. I was shocked.
Bill Parcells and his staff face a huge task going into Mile High Stadium next week. Vinny Testaverde cannot make mistakes against the Denver Broncos, and the Jets defense is going to face the best offense they've seen all year long, and that includes the 49ers.
Was a strike-shortened year. The New York Jets that season played 9 games, won 6, lost 3, got into what was called the Super Bowl tournament, and advanced to the AFC Championship game. This time, just a little more of an accomplishment. Testaverde can now call his father out and say, "Pop, we're going to Denver." American General postgame show coming next. The Jets win it. They're 8-1 on their home turf this season. And now they get ready to head west to Mile High Stadium to take on John Elway, Terrell Davis, and the Denver Broncos. That's next Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Jets win at 34-24. So for Randy Cross and Michelle Tafoya, I'm Vern Lundquist saying so long from Giant Stadium. It has been a heck of a season. Be with us next week. The season continues from Mile High.
take handoff up inside. Ball's knocked loose. Chris Hudson, he recovers. He's on his way. He attempts to a lateral. Why? I don't know. Not very smart. Keyshawn Johnson recovers. Tom Coughlin, he is absolutely stunned. Jets are up 10-0. Then a ensuing drive. Keyshawn Johnson, 28-yard. They're at 10-yard, actually, around left side. Touchdown, 17-0 Jets. And then back comes Brunell down the left sideline to Jimmy Smith. Great coverage, but a great throw, 17-7. And then finally the toss to Curtis Martin out of the backfield, over 100 yards rushing. Touchdown, Jets. Win 34-24. Big day for Johnson, big day for Testaverde.
Raining confetti at the Meadowlands, reminiscent of when Bill Parcells was with the Giants and their many playoff victories. Jets' first AFC Championship appearance now since 1983. They will take on Denver. Congratulations to the New York Jets. We'll be back here with more of the Burger King pregame show after this. Defensive end, nose guard, as versatile a defensive player as there is in the league. John Randall, big motor, both in the heart and, of course, in the mouth, but he can back it up as we welcome you back to this Burger King NFL playoff special right here on Fox. Well, folks, he's number 2 in the NFL in career touchdown catches. He's number 4 on the all-time reception list, and he holds almost every Vikings receiver record in the book. His name is Cris Carter, but Howie, one accomplishment still eludes the elusive one.
Yeah, there's not a lot missing in the life of the Cris Carter I went to see this week in Minnesota. He has faith, family, and just about every individual accolade you can have as a football player. But you come to find out through this interview what drives Cris Carter.
We are like
You caught your first touchdown in a galaxy far, far away from Randall Cunningham in 1987. What's different about Cris Carter on a personal level?
Well, I think the biggest difference is I'm really comfortable with who I am. I can truly say that no man can take credit for where I am spiritually or where I am as far as a professional athlete, that only God can take credit for that.
Well, who takes credit for calming you down on the sideline? Apparently...
Nobody.
Shut up, Paul.
They say that I'm a type A person.
Yes.
But people say you're a type AAA person.
When you get on your knees and say your prayers tonight, pray.
See him every day, baby.
Pray you can play as long as me.
You're still the performance police, you know, and that's a role that is not always relished by a player, but it's a role that somebody has to step up and take.
My ability to be focused on Sunday and the energy that I bring to the team is a gift. But if I can't help people, if I can't help people play better, if I can't help people make plays to help the team win, then what good is it?
The film, Randall, what did we watch on film? Outs, threes, giants.
The whispers in the NFL is that Cris Carter coaches Randy Moss.
Big fella, hey, way not to push him off, too. Huh? Way not to push him off. Yeah. Because that guy's right back there.
How much input do you have into Randy's on-the-field performance?
I think I have as much input as he wants me to. I'm not always talking to him about football. You know, there might be a play in the game, he might make a play, and something might happen, and I might think it's a great time for me to point out something about life.
Does he raise your bar? Does he continue to challenge you to be Cris Carter?
I don't necessarily think he challenges me. I think that, I mean, he's such a strange athlete. And strange being a good word.
That's a good way to describe him. He's kind of Len Swan with Bob Hayes' speed.
It's amazing what he can do.
When we play the big dogs, are we going to have everything tight?
Brian Billick said something interesting. When we're in trouble, I have a section in my playbook that's simply entitled Carter.
To me, that's the best compliment I've ever had in my whole career. And it speaks volumes for how he believes in my ability, and also for my understanding of the system.
Here is Cris Carter downfield, makes the catch and gets the touchdown.
You've run out of personal goals.
Yes, I have.
There's nothing left for you. There's no hills left for you to climb.
The only personal goal I have is the Super Bowl.
The ring.
That's it. I remember when Jerry Rice played the game earlier in the year, and I think he caught 4 balls for 38 yards. And they had a report that he was complaining about getting the football. In that same game, we played Green Bay at home, and we beat Green Bay. And I caught 4 balls for 37 yards. But I never said anything. And to me, it spoke volumes of how much that I have grown and how much I want to be in a position like Michael Irvin and Jerry have been in, to be in the Super Bowl and be in the NFC Championship games.
You know, the ironic thing about Chris Carter is it's a very difficult role to take, but when you give so much, you expect so much. And believe me, if you're not making plays and you're not contributing to this football team, making the ultimate commitment, Chris Carter will let you know about it. You just saw it, a little bit of that in the footage. It's hard to find a flaw in this offense with the Minnesota Vikings. Talking to them, they want to get their wide running game on track, and particularly behind Corey Stringer at Wadsworth. That's a big key. They feel they can pick up just about anything that Arizona comes with. This offensive line is ready to roll.
And this Vikings defense is the absolute best in football at not giving up the big plays. That means Jake Plummer today has to be very patient. Dump that thing off to Larry Centers. Dump the thing off to Eric Metcalf. That's the way they have to try and stay in this football game early. If he does that, I think they can keep it within 3 touchdowns.
You know, I feel like I'm playing the devil's advocate here. I feel like I'm the only one that thinks Arizona has any chance at all. But once again, if you go back and just notice that Simeon Rice wore out Stussy the last time they played, and Neas Williams wore out Chris Carter the last time they played. Unfortunately, there was no Moss, there was no Cunningham. But there's one little weapon I know the Vikings have to use today, and his name is David Palmer, a little guy that catches punts, returns kickoffs. He was a quarterback at Alabama. He was a quarterback in high school. And, folks, when you're watching this game and this game gets close, that's when the tricks come out. Don't forget, Palmer in the backfield. He could take the ball. He can chunk it down the football field.
I didn't hear Howie or Chris say that Arizona didn't have a shot. But let me ask you, are you saying Arizona will win this game today?
No, I'm not saying they will win. I'm not ever going to ever say.
You think it'll be
I'm not ever going to say that.
I think it'll be close.
I just want to make sure that people understand this game could be a lot closer than everybody.
And the opening kickoff,
sounds like he's sucking up big time to somebody. Kickoff is just moments away. And after being away for 5 games because of an injured back, Jake Reed is back. So now with Carter, Moss, and Reed, Vikings have weapons 1, 2, and 3. Bradshaw back with a statement after this. For this game against the Minnesota Vikings, a team that Terry Bradshaw thinks has a good shot at upsetting the Vikings. Let's start first with Chris.
There's a bold statement right there. A good shot.
You know what? What's wrong with someone thinking that Arizona can't beat these guys? I mean, I'm not saying, but we act like these guys aren't going to play today?
Chris, don't let him steal your time. Go.
You know, this weekend, all 3 teams so far that had the home field advantage and the bye week have jumped off to early starts and ended up winning the football game. Arizona has to survive this first quarter. Watch for that early in the ball game.
This offensive line from the Arizona Cardinals will have their hands full with crowd noise. And Jake the Snake Plummer, the first time he sees that John Randall over there barking at him, he's going to have to keep his composure. Chavez, the cornerback, going to have to play the game of his life at 10 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Andy Reid, offensive coordinator for Brett Favre, has just signed with the Philadelphia Eagles as their new head coach.
All right, the other part of the Jack Nicholson line that Terry wanted us to deliver for him is we need him on this pregame show. All right, folks.
Need somebody.
All righty, coming up next, Minnesota Vikings hosting the Arizona Cardinals. It will be an outstanding game. I guarantee you the winner will be the one with the most points at the end. All right.
You know what?
Right.
Catch a full day of Super Bowl pregame action beginning at 11 Eastern on Fox.
21 days and counting to Super Bowl 33. Today's story is a sequel as David tries to once again slay another giant. For the Minnesota Vikings, nothing short of a Super Bowl would equal success. They set the stage prior to the season by drafting Randy Moss, who has turned an already potent offense into a lethal one. While the wild cards have risen from the flames like a phoenix and pinned their hopes on a plumber named Snake and a young defense with a fatal bite. The Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, and the weather kind of lethal. Temperature 2 degrees with the wind chill. It's 38 degrees below zero. That doesn't matter because we're in the dome where the temperature is perfect for the Vikings to host the Arizona Cardinals. Pat Summerall here with John Madney. To think about these Vikings, John, and they have so many offensive weapons. How do they utilize everybody they have?
Well, you know, you just want to call it a super year for the Vikings. They still have a couple of more games to get there, but from the beginning of the season through the middle to the end, it looks like it's their year. And you talk to them, and offensively, as you say, they have so many weapons. Brian Billick is their offensive coordinator, and he just wants to use them. I mean, he believes in distribution, that you don't become one-dimensional. You just don't run the ball. You just don't throw it to one guy, that you spread it around. On defense, I think the thing that they have to do is contain Jake Plummer, because Jake Plummer can scare him. And if he gets outside the containment, then he buys time, and that puts a lot of pressure on the defensive secondary. And to me, if the Vikings are vulnerable anywhere, it's in their secondary.
Not vulnerable too many places, though. Realistically, do you think the Arizona Cardinals have much of a chance?
No, I don't think they have much of a chance, but I think they would have a chance in it if they played a perfect game, didn't give any turnovers, but if they went out and got some turnovers, you know, they would have that chance to win the game. Jake Plummer has to do it. I mean, he has to do it with his feet. He has to do it with his arm. On defense, they're going to do a lot of interesting things, I think, to the Vikings. I think they're going to play them a lot of nickel defense, a lot of 5 defensive backs. And one of the great matchups is going to be Aeneas Williams, a Cardinal corner, who is a heck of a corner. He's going to play man-to-man on Randy Moss all day. That's going to be fun to watch.
Coming up, it's the Cardinals and the Vikings from the Metrodome. And John and I'll be back for the opening kickoff when Fox NFL Divisional game continues.
Ball till we fall. 1, 2, 3. Ball till we fall. Let's go, baby. Are you with me? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Break it down to me.
Following presentation of the National Football League.
At the Metrodome in Minneapolis. About set to start to see who the 4th team's going to be. They're going to play Atlanta, the winner of this game. Congratulations to Bill Parcells, New York Jets. They'll play Denver next week. The winner of this one will play Dan Reeves, Atlanta Falcons.
And congratulations to Dan Reeves and the Atlanta Falcons. We talk about the Vikings having a super year and a great year and a Cinderella team. Atlanta Falcons were the same thing, and what a job Dan Reeves and his coaching staff and his players have done.
Well, Dan Reeves, you can't say enough good things about him. It's good to see good things happen to good people, and Dan Reeves is good people. Chris Jackie will kick it off. He's been the hero in Arizona for the last few weeks. They've won 7 games in the closing seconds to get here. David Palmer will start handling the ball for Minnesota. Palmer to the 20 and down at about the 19. Let's look at the Minnesota offenses. Tempers are on edge, I think you'd have to say. The offense led by Randall Cunningham. This is the 2nd Randall Cunningham. His offensive line, they've been together 5 years. They're very effective. Led by Randall McDaniel and Todd Stussy on the left side. Jeff Christie also a key. Robert Smith, Charles Evans, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Andrew Glover will handle the ball for the Minnesota offensive coordinator Brian Billick. Of course, his name has been mentioned prominently in all the coaching changes from this year. He'll be a head coach somewhere. Hart blitz, they almost get to Cunningham. He dumped it. They have said they're going to blitz just about every play.
Yeah, they're going to go after Randall Cunningham.
That's their defensive line. They'll start with a 4-man front, but they'll make changes, and many changes in that. The 3 linebackers, Patrick Sapp starting, McKinnon and Jameer Miller, who had a big week last week against Dallas. Chavis and Williams, the corners. And Dave McGinnis. He too mentioned when people start searching for head coaches. Flags fly.
You see Simeon Rice, he was out there and he was jumping all around because he knows it's against Todd Stussy, the left tackle.
False start. Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Not necessarily a good start for Minnesota.
Well, it was an interesting thing that the Cardinals use a lot of 5 defensive linemen, and they did it a lot last week against the Dallas Cowboys. And on that last play, that was a 5 defensive linemen. In fact, you see it here. Well, now they're in 4 defensive linemen.
2nd and 15. Carter comes in motion. Cunningham pass caught by Chris Carter. He was covered pretty well.
You know, Chris Carter is one of those guys that, you know, is a big, strong, physical receiver. And he gives Randall Cunningham so much confidence that you know that once you have this guy here and you just throw the ball in there, that he is going to go and fight and usually end up with it. And that's exactly what he did. He just found the hole in the zone, and Randall Cunningham threw it perfectly.
David Palmer comes into the Minnesota backfield. On third down, here come the flags again as the Cardinal jump, free play. Pass complete to Palmer. And they're going to take the play instead of the flag, except the play never got started, did it?
Yes, it did get started because it would be the defense that jumped. Now, if the defense jumps, it's a free offensive play. If the offense moves, then they blow the whistle. So that, as you said, was a free play.
Number 74.
You're exactly right.
And Randall Cunningham knew that, and he just stood in there. And he had David Palmer. You see David Palmer coming out of the backfield. Randall Cunningham stood patiently and threw the ball.
Here's the Minnesota version of no huddle. They're up and quickly ready to go. And the Cardinals again come on the blitz, and Robert Smith gets the carry. Patrick Sapp got there almost the same time the ball did.
You know, this is the same thing that they did against the Dallas Cowboys. Is what they want to do is get the pressure right in here, right now. If we just start, you see, you want to step up. See how they step up? Then they want to hit the gap. You see right here, you don't want to give it away yet, but you want to get up there and hit the gap after they have countered you as being back off. And that's exactly what Sapp did. He timed it perfectly.
2nd and 14. Single setback is Smith. Cunningham drops, has time. Pass caught. Chris Carter again struggles for a first down.
I think that was one of the things that the Vikings have. As I said earlier, they're going to move the ball around, and they know that the Arizona Cardinals are going to take away Randy Moss. They're putting Aeneas Williams out there. They were playing him with a lot of nickel. So if you're going to concentrate on Randy Moss, what better guy to go to than Chris Carter?
There's Aeneas Williams out with Randy Moss. And here's Robert Smith. And he can turn a shortly designed play into a first down, and he does.
You know, and that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, you talk about the weapons, and here they go, and they're running, and, you know, I mean, they're throwing out there to Chris Carter, they're throwing the ball to Palmer, and then they say, well, it's about time we get a run in here, and they just hand it to Robert Smith. And watch not only the running and the vision he has, but the run blocking. This offensive line, the Minnesota Vikings, is the best offensive line right now in pro football.
Leroy Horde is down the deep back.
He's in there as a load runner and a blocker.
And he is a load. Horde struggles for about 4.